everyone. Hi, Candy Culture. How are you doing? Tonight, we are going to be talking about partner versus provider. My rest of my gentlemen are going to be coming in, but I am here with Onu, Dr. Amadi, and so I'm just grateful to have him here with me. Let's get it started. First of all, Onu, you're in Detroit, right? You're still in Detroit?
I'm still in Detroit. I'll be
You're-
here for a couple of years.
You'll be here for a couple years. How's your residency?
It's going better. It's
It's
going better.
okay.
It's
That is good. That is good. Are you adjusting to Detroit? Because I know you're from DC.
I would say so. It's not bad. I was talking with some other residents last week, and I was like, you know what? Detroit is pretty much Atlanta North. Tell me
Okay.
if I'm wrong. I'm just like, there's a huge black population, whole bunch of soul food. Everyone's out and about, and it's just like I feel, and like the driving situation is very similar to Detroit. And I was just like, you know what, this is mini Detroit. Like I just don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like I'm not a big fan of Atlanta too. I'm just like, okay. I was like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. So
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And honestly, this is the best place for you to get your
and
residency.
it's like Divine Nine everywhere you go. Like honestly, I'm like, you know what, this is mini Detroit. I mean mini Atlanta. Detroit's
In
mini
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Tell me I'm wrong.
I believe it probably is. Just, like you said, it's just chocolate everywhere and soul food and something for you to get used to. It's probably the best place for you to have your
Pretty much
residency.
so. Best place. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not mad. I am not mad. I'm just like, okay. I'm when it's 2 months from now when it's like cold and snowing, like, out the door.
Right. You'll be done with it at that point. You'll be. So, how is are you even thinking about the dating situation out there?
See, I'm in a thought of reflection. So like I started coming back into the dating scene like when I was in like Miami before I got to Detroit. It's like, okay, I'm ready to date. That was my MO. And then like now like 4 months after me being in Detroit, like okay, I'm trying to have like a reset and like, okay, what am I doing? What am I not doing? Because I just feel like what type of mates I'm attracting to and not attracting to is like, okay, like what am I doing? What is like my purpose moving forward? And I think it's like, okay, I've dated a lot of people in I've dated someone that were in their 30s, somewhere in their 40s, someone in 28, and it's like, you know what, like what am I doing here in the dating scene? And it's just like we talk to other women from their standards point. It's like, okay, like I know I want to be serious about dating. So again, dating someone who's like, okay, like in the next 2 to 3 years, like if they're not thinking about marriage or thinking about being in a relationship, what's the whole point? So if someone's like if someone's just starting like grad school, starting like that, okay, you know, there's certain things I want to do the next 5 years, and it's not
Hmm.
family oriented. What's your thought process? Again, like you know what, I'm not trying to wait 5 years to start a family or to get married. That's one thing. Two, it's like okay, like where do I see myself in 5 years? Like I can go anywhere in the country and do my job. And like when I talk to other women, it's like you know what, some of them are like they're from Detroit, so they vision their entire life in Detroit. Some people are like, I need to go wherever the job takes me to. If that happens to be Wyoming or Alaska, or if it's California, that's when I have to go. And it's like, you know what, I've never thought about like, you know what, going to some destitute situation in let's say 3 5 years from now just for a family for a career. I mean that's easy, but as for a family, like I never thought about that. And other people are like going back to their hometowns and stuff like that, like in the back of my mind, like I can always go home to DC
You
like
could,
if I
but
want to.
yes. And separately, it's so interesting. You just said something. You said I needed to take a reset. And to me, as women, sometimes we need to take a reset and say, okay, what am I doing in this dating field? What do I want? What do I need? Like you said, in the next 5 years, I want to have children. I want to be in a different place in my life. And am I looking for that man, or is that man that I'm looking for in this area? And as a doctor, are the women that you're looking for, in that area where you are or where you're going to be. You understand what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I see what you're saying. Like again, I think again that's another component. It's like, do you want to marry another doctor or not? And we talk to doctors versus non-doctors. I think like with the way doctors think, it's like, it's whatever the most financial outcome is going to be for both of you. So if it's going to a new city, you can pretty much go to a new city together, and both make adequate financial compensation.
Hmm.
But what happens? I get so when again, I don't throw numbers into it. So let's say you both are going to make the average doctor salary in that particular city. That's fine. Or what if you're going to have to take $5,000 or $10,000 less than the average? That's okay. I mean, to me, that's fine. But what if it's like differences between, I can only make 100K here. If I go to New City, I make 60K. What if
Right.
it's that steep? What if it's that steep? And it's like, okay. I mean, to me, it's like, that's a big. I mean, that is a big deal. Like when you look at my brother, one of my brothers, like, yeah, they're in DC. They're going to be in DC for the rest of their lives because again, that's where they make their money. If they were to uproot and go to a different city, that's going to be very difficult to do so. Not just for them, but also for their spouses. Are they both going to be able to do that? I think like when you're beginning and thinking about that, thought forward from the beginning process is
Hmm.
kind of easier to think about those things than having life react to it.
Right.
And then like one of my prayer points I always think about is like, okay, the Bible talks about Revelations Omega and Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. So one of the things that I'm starting to journal or think about is like, how's the end going to look like, and what are steps I'm going to do in order to get to that end. So I think that's a key thing. I'm like, okay, like I know how I'm not everything's going to be not going to be perfect, but again, like I know there are like 4 or 5 things that to me are non-negotiable that I want
Hmm.
to know at the end. So again, I'm going to know at the end of the journey. The journey is going to take me through different paths, different ways. But again, if I don't have these 4 or 5 things, what's the whole point of it? And it's like I don't want to start something if I know like, hey, it can't end at this particular destination, or it's going to take me very long to get a destination.
Exactly. Okay, so you being a resident in Detroit and the type of women that you may meet in Detroit, and to me, right now, like we've talked a lot about you and being in your residency, and in your mind, let me get my studies and everything, and concentrate on this. Um, are you even resetting yourself to say, let me start dating, let me get myself out there?
I mean, I think I was resetting when I got here,
Got it.
and again, I kind of have to reset again. Like, okay,
Hmm.
what is it that I'm going to need from a relationship moving forward? And it's just like I can like start pre-eliminating a lot of women from Jump Street. Like,
Right.
there's no reason for us to go out because you're not in the same space or mental space. Um, it's like I don't know how to not say mental space again. So I know if if you're not family oriented,
Hmm.
or I think one person that dated again like not like doesn't have like a good. I think family structure is important. Like I come from 2 parent households, so again, like I listen to both my mom and dad, probably mom more than dad, but I've always had like a positive 2 parent household. So again, I know it's important for me to talk and listen to what they have to say. So
True.
it doesn't mean that if you don't come 2 parent household, but at the same time, it's like again, like I know what I came from, I know what I want to emulate.
Hmm.
If you don't come from a 2 parent house, I'm not saying we're not going to work out, but the same exact thing. It's like, what makes you think that this is the proper mindset that you want to move forward? Most people might not come from 2 parent household, but you know what? I don't want to live. I don't want my children to live through the things I lived through. So again, there's no right wrong answer, but it's no way to acknowledge your past and what you want to do moving forward. Like when we go through like residency training, like we get asked a gazillion questions. You have to prep for a lot of situations. And sometimes it's like, you know what, you might not have the same experience as somebody else, but you kind of know exactly what you don't want to do in order to get to where you want to get to. And when I start listening, again, when you start listening to what women have to say, you kind of pick up exactly, okay, this is where you want to move forward, where you want what not move to, versus just being infatuation, trying to like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make this person fit into the rest of my life. Which again, I fall victim into that. I've done that up until last, I would say up pre-COVID only. That's what we'll do. Meet a woman, fit it into my life, but it's like it doesn't work out. The key thing is like, what does that person have or say that's gonna make you fit into that is gonna make you want to build with that person.
Hmm.
And when you start, like, again, it's like a step-by-step approach. Again, what's that person actually saying? Because again, I kind of feel like right now I was talking talking with my friends, like most of them tell you exactly everything you know before the first date. Like if you pay attention, they're gonna tell you exactly what you need to know. So why are you going to date number three if you know everything they know before date number one? Like I was in the mindset like, okay, I'm gonna go out. We're going on 3 5 days. I'm like, I can make a decision after date number one.
I totally agree. We as women also have this intuition. We know we can pick those things up, but we also, let me see, let me give you one or two dates but we still keep giving those chances. And we have to reset in our mind. Okay, like I just moved here to Atlanta. Let me see. Let me get my let me see what this dating scene is like. And you as a doctor, I'm going to say Dr. Owen, Dr. Amadi, but dating in Detroit is going to be different from dating in DC and then dating in California. Um, and I just wonder about, so dating in today's women, dating to women of today, you wanting to have children in the next 5, 10 years, you wanting to be in a different mindset, uh, and you're paying attention to those type of things. What does the word provider mean to you?
I mean, I think provider is someone that's going to be finding, just someone that's able to pay all the bills. I mean, for example, just able to like buy a house, pay for the bills, pay for the groceries, pay for utilities, things like that. I mean,
Is it a red flag for you if a woman is if that is her if that is her lead in for you, if she wants to see how you are acting, how you are taking care of things, that's her. um that's what, okay, I want Onu because he's going to take care of me financially.
yeah, I mean, yes. So I think every situation is different. And again, with me, again, so if I was a female in
Hmm.
my female, I was instead of male, I was a female, 35 position, etc. My lifestyle, what my expectations are, going to be a lot more different going to the dating scene than someone else is. So like I have a lot of female doctor friends that I talk to that work. I'm like, okay, what are the deal breakers for them when they're going into relationships? So if I'm bringing X amount of money, if I worth X amount of money, this is what my salary is. It's gonna be kind of hard for me to date someone who doesn't make that. So therefore, that could be like that's like going to be a boundary into making their own circle of people that are going to actually date, which is fine. So maybe they're going to be looking at people can only make X amount of money. Their own prerogative. Their own prerogative. However, when I talk to other guys, not so much. They really don't care. Really don't care. Really, they don't care how much the person makes what they do. It's like does the person make them happy or not. Each person their own. And to me, I kind of feel like the type of when I look at the future and what type of like I want to get married, I want to have 2 kids. The type of structure that I want to have in my future in my family, I don't see how you're going to be able to do that unless you're going to be able to do exactly the same. You can actually are doing exactly the same things I'm doing moving forward. So if you're not going to if you're not going to make much money as me or monthly, how are we going to be able to support the family structure that I want to have when I'm thinking, hey, if my resource and your resource is going to make this huge pot to share amongst the entire family, how's that gonna level out when I'm making X and you're making Y? And
So
those
that
two
pot
numbers
is
don't
going to
align.
be different in Detroit than it is in DC, than it is in California.
Right.
Right.
But in the back again, which leads to my back time, am I ever going to go home? If home is to me going back to DC, I know how much money it's going to cost me to stay in DC and be happy. It's going to be a
And be
lot more
happy.
than it's going to be a lot more than it's going to be Detroit. If I
Right.
have to be in Detroit and make less money to be miserable, that person better be everything I want it to be. Do I think that's going to happen in Detroit? I don't know. So one of my best friends, like, you know what, you might have to start dating across the United States to figure this answer out. But at the same time, I kind of I understand how women. I understand the women's approach the women's approach to dating, and to me, I kind of feel like again, one it's not money, but financial. Finance is one thing, but also educational back status doesn't make as much as well. And again, If I'm a physician, I went through higher education to get to where I went to, and you don't have that pedigree right there, what are you going to teach the children? It's one question. One of the things I'm leading to. Or if our kids decide not to go to college, is that going to be
Right.
something okay with or not okay with? Like if I have kids who don't want to go to college, I might feel a particular way. Do they have to go to college? No. But the key thing is, everything in their life is going to pretty much be predetermined. Like, you know what, to pursue higher education. If your parents have done A, B, and C, and they're setting up your lifestyle to be like this, again, maybe they make it big and go to the NBA or NFL. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. However, I think academically, but also a proper education pursuits are going to make sure that hey, that person's going to be well rounded in order not just to go to college, but to succeed in whatever career they prepared to choose. Those were the value sets that were instilled into me, and like I want to instill those into my children.
So do you want a woman that's going to marry a doctor, and I or not marry? You want a woman that's going to have that higher education. Totally understand that. Do you also want and hey Corey, how are you doing? Come on in. So
Hey,
so I'm kind of we're Onu and I are going down this path that's so interesting to me because so I totally understand you saying that you want a woman that's also in the same educational realm as you and in the same financial realm as you because that makes a difference if wherever you guys are going to be living, right?
Correct.
And what are you going to teach the kids? What if she wants to be an entrepreneur? What if she wants to be a digital a content creator?
I think wherever your passions lie, that's I don't knock people for what their passions are. My question is like, at 35, why are you not doing what you're passionate about? I think that's the key number one thing. Like I think if you're kind of on the fence of what you should be doing, not be doing in life at this particular stage, again, something is wrong, something is not there. So
Mhm.
when I talk again, like when I talk to patients or when I talk to people, these are key things I kind of listen for. Like again, like you can tell. I'm not saying depressed. You can tell when something's not off or something's not right. And I think again, especially with when you start when you like on a first date, one of the things is like I try not to talk. Again, I try to let that person talk, and I try to listen exactly what they're passionate about. And for the most part, if what you're passionate about, if you're not passionate about your work, if you don't know nothing about me, you're not passionate about your work, and now you start defending like you know what, wife, kids, I want to be a parent, stuff like things like that. Like to me, that kind of catch me off guard because again, someone who is over, I'm not saying over passionate, you're going to talk of whatever is most important about your day is what you're going to talk about the most.
Sure.
And I know what I'm most passionate about, like most days. So unless we don't need to talk about my day to day what things my day to day what I did in the hospital for the most part. But at the same time, it's like what about today made you want to get up and come out? Like what about what is that spark of initiation? So if you kind of again you talk about that intuition, like if you kind of sense like okay, so this person isn't happy with life or this person's going through the flows, that's the type of person like like what about that person is going to make you feel like okay, this is the person that you want to build the rest of life with. You can have different projects if you want to. I know a lot of people who go into medicine and stop and it's like you know what, look, I'd rather do something else entirely complete. That's fine, but they're able to identify that and tell you why. And that's something that you can't do. I'm like okay, like I hate treating things like a job interview. It's like okay, something's off, something's amiss. It's like,
No,
what is that? And it's like, okay. And it's like to me, again, that's kind of like a red flag for certain things. And again, even with I guess interview prep, even with just talking to strangers, it's like these are things you can kind of pick up. Is this some again, and if you take it out of relationship and going to let's say if you're applying for a job working with someone, is it someone that you want to work with? Is this someone you can build a partnership with? These are the type of questions I kind of ask myself at the end of the first or 2 days. Like, okay, what about this person says yes versus no? And again, if I hear indecisiveness, like you know what, that's kind of a turnoff at this stage. Like when I was 20, 25, hey, it is, I'm just here to I'm here to not get fired, here to get a paycheck. But at this stage, of the dating game, like, okay, like you can't come in with that same 25-year-old energy and expect to get 35-year-old prizes. And that's kind of how I look at it. And it's like, okay, so you have to, again, nothing wrong with nothing wrong with entrepreneurs, nothing wrong with the content creators. But again, if that's what you're about, I need to hear the passion about that. I don't need to hear you talking about something else. Because again, like, people, if you're not doing what you're passionate about, then what's the whole point?
What's the whole
I
point? And
wasn't.
then what are we going to teach the kids? What are you going to, if
Well,
you're a digital
that's
creator, then that's what you can teach the kids how to be.
nothing wrong with just for the kids, but is that all you're going to teach the kids? Or what else are you going to teach the kids?
Mhm. So if you're okay, go ahead, Corey. Were you going to?
No, so this is Onu. What's going on, man? So question for you. I understand that you
I
say you're
can't.
the type that. Can you guys hear?
Can you hear him, Onu?
Like he's kind of faint. Like,
I'm faint. Okay, I'll adjust. All right, this is better.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so I was saying that you say you're the type of person who, when you go out on that first date, you try not to talk that much. You try to listen more than you talk. I get that, and I respect that. But what happens if there comes a time where your date is looking to do the same thing to you? What if she's the type that wants you to talk and she wants to sit back and listen? So how would you break that between the two of you? Would you lead out with that, or would you want her to still talk?
I mean, I feel like I feel like I over dominate any question I want to talk. I can't talk. I tried not to over dominate conversations like this one on one in that particular situation. Try to act like open ended questions versus close ended questions. If I kind of feel like, okay, that's where things are going, then maybe you might ask a question and I might ask myself a question and answer it so you know exactly what I'm thinking and get your own and take about it. If it kind of feel like the situation's go choppy in that particular instance. But I think conversation is the most important point of new relationships or even dating. And I kind of get that, like, we can't have an actual conversation. That's, to me, is a red flag. Again, like, I mean, honestly, that's not someone I'm going on another date with. I kind of feel like being pretty, being cute, that can get you date number one. But if you can't talk or can't communicate or can't use full sentences, why are we going to continue to go out? I mean, it'll be a rough date in that particular instance. I'll try my best to try to find ways to communicate, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit there and try to make that situation work. In the past, I would have sat there for 2, 3 months trying to make that situation work. But I mean, I just went out with somebody, I guess 2 months ago, when I was in Miami. The first day was horrible. It was like me pulling teeth out trying to get an actual conversation. There was no date number two, even though she said, she had a great time, because again, I value communication. And I think my first date criteria is, do you have all your teeth? Can you smile? And can you speak in complete sentences? And like, you can't understand the assignment and can't fill that out. Like, there's no reason to go to date number two. I can worry about other things with date number two, but date number one, that's the bare minimum.
If she's got to pass those three things. That's
Pass those three
easy. That's
things. Like,
easy
I don't
work.
know if you want to. I mean,
Yeah, that's mandatory.
That's
I get
mandatory.
that.
That's
Hell yeah.
mandatory.
so
So, but now you know what, Onu, and I'm going to get to Corey in a second, because you had mentioned two things that were really essential. First, making sure that the woman, especially, you are on a specific career path, being getting your medical degree, and you want a woman that's on that same career path or in that same bracket as you and that same education level. So, what does the word partner mean to you?
yeah,
If you want to be paying everything, because you did say provider is important to you, which I understand. So what? So if she's in that same financial bracket and she's got, let's say, you're marrying another doctor, she could be a different type of doctor. I know you're going general practitioner, right? Internal medicine.
internal medicine,
Right. Okay.
subspecialty hematology. So,
Right.
um,
So there's two doctors in the family.
two doctors. So, like, when I see partnership, I kind of feel, again, this is where you can, how can I say, I kind of think about a king and a queen. Like, yeah, I'll try to go back. So
Mhm.
again, each person has particular roles in that royal family. the king's objective is to make sure the queen's life goes as easy as possible. The king might not be around, but the queen knows how to operate the kingdom and make sure the finances, or every, not just the finances, but make sure the kingdom runs properly. So if the king was to get exiled or get killed off, I have to make sure that the queen can run the show. And and regardless, if I'm around, I want the entire kingdom to know that, hey, she's number two. Not that she's number two, but she's going to make sure that my mission, whatever I want to, gets carried out the way that I see fit. So when I think about partnership, it's not to me. It's like 50. I'm not trying to say it's 50-50, a 50-50, 55-50. I kind of feel like, do we both have the same objective at task? Like, what do we want to instill, not just in the family with the children, but between us? Like, what is that? How is that going to look from the outside looking in? When I look at my parents and their marriage, again, that's something I want to emulate. I don't want to. It's not going to look that way. I don't want to look that way. Honestly, I just don't understand how my parents are still together, being up close and person, seeing everything day to day. But at the same time, I know my mom and dad, they have love for each other. I know exactly what their mission is in order to carry out. If God forbid something happens to my dad, I know what type of woman my mom is. I know exactly what she's going to do in order to keep the entire family structure moving forward. And to me, that's what I kind of I'm looking for. Exactly, what are the things I'm looking forward to entertain in my life? And again, if I'm not around, is that going to be carried out to the T? So if it comes down to finances, okay, again, we have this big house over here. Are we both can? If I'm not able to make that payment this month, are you going to be able to? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna cover the bill. Or you know what? If let's take this vacation, this place we want to go to. Do you need me around in order to say, hey, this is covered, not covered? Let's say vice versa in the children. Let's say you're at some conference across the town. God forbid something happens where the kid has to be rushed over to the hospital, whatever. Can you make those life death decisions for me when I'm not around, and we both be able to accept um, whatever happens from that? I don't. When you see, like, I see the good and bad side of families all the time. Like parents bickering and fighting just because little Johnny has like pneumonia, whatever. Again, it's not something. It's not as simple. To me, that's something very simple. But again, if two people are not on accord on how to raise a child through a common cold or a bacterial infection, like what makes you think when it becomes something like cancer, when it comes to like a parent died, when it comes to picking a school, when it's coming to talking to your kids about talking with kids about race? Again, exactly what it is that we want to do. Like, do I feel like, hey, I can leave you in this situation? I know, like, you know what, hey, she's gonna carry this thing out like a boss. Like, she doesn't need me. She knows exactly what to want to do. If I have to be like, you know what, I need to yell, not yell, but I need to instruct you like I'm talking to someone at McDonald's or Burger King, like, hey, this is how you cook the fries, this is how you make a sandwich, this stuff. Again, to me, that's not a relationship or a partnership. And again, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone like, hey, you know what? Hey, this is what I want. This is what we want. Let's find a way how to execute this to the best of our abilities and move forward.
What if that queen gets pregnant and wants to go back to work in at 8 weeks?
8 weeks is out. If she wants to go back to work in 8 weeks, that's fine. I have.
No, it's not.
What you mean? What you mean? That's fine for me. Is that what she wants to do? That's what you're asking me. If you're telling me, again, she doesn't want to do, let's say she wants to stay home for a year, then fine. We'll find a way for you to stay home for a year. Or if you can't, if that's gonna mean, hey, I have to walk away from my job for a year in order to take care of the family. If you feel that's important for you to do, then fine, so be it. I think that's what you're trying to go to. I'm not gonna force you to do something that you not want to do. Now, some people might not want to stay at home with the kids, like, you know what, let's get an au pair, let's get a nanny, let's get a family, let's get a parent to come take care of the kids during the day and come at night. That's fine. But at the same time, what is it that you want to do? If you feel like, hey, you know what, I want to take time off of my career for, let's say, 3 4 5 years and raise the children up to age. If that's what you want to do, hopefully that's something, a conversation you have with me prior to us getting married and us having children, versus like catching it on the fly. I think that's a very important conversation to have. You might not be able to have it on on date number one. But I kind of figure sometime between the wedding and the woman getting pregnant, hopefully that's something you kind of figure that out. And again, how's that going to look? Just because you say something in 2021 doesn't mean it's always going to be the same in 2025. However, you can go through both scenarios. And what again? I guess in the United States right now, you pretty much get 12 weeks of paid leave. What if you wanted that extended for a lot more? What if you want me to take 12 weeks after you take 12 weeks to make sure the kid gets up to 24 weeks before you make the particular decision? These are the things that you definitely have to go through. And it's one of the things I watched one of my brothers do. Like, hey, he takes his 12 weeks right after his wife takes the first 12 weeks after having a kid. Because again, she wants to make sure that she gets recovers from pregnancy, that she'll be able to make the first couple of appointments, but also the kid isn't being forced into daycare too soon. So he can make sure that hey, we can at least try to get closer to 6 months before hey, keep infections low, make sure that hey, as a parent they're always around. What if your job allows you to give you? I've seen people with certain jobs that allows them to have that autonomy, and seen others that don't. However, how's the household set up? Like, what is it? What is it you want? And you can't tell me that before we get into the meat of the relationship. Then why are we here?
That's so interesting you say that because I was having the same conversation, and the gentleman said that after we have kids, I want to make it, as you just started on this track of, I want to make it so comfortable for that queen that that she doesn't have to work when I have children.
Which I hear, yeah. If that's what she wants, Like, again, a lot of women are like, you know what, I want to get back. I don't want to stay at home, or that's not my entire identity. I don't think having children needs to be your entire identity. But again, each person is different. And again, each situation is different. And again, life changes on a dime. So again, you have to be flexible. However, I think key thing is understanding both sides of the argument. But it's supposed to argue exactly, hey, what do you want to do if this happens versus not happen versus being blindsided? And I think if we again goes down to communication, but again, the way communication is a generalized term. It goes down to listening, understanding, but also what are you going to do when certain things arrives? I kind of feel like again, a plan is only good until you get punched in the mouth. But I like to have multiple plans before I get punched in the mouth.
Okay. Let me go to Corey. First of all, I like that a plan is only good until you get punched in the mouth. And when it comes to children, things change, and you can never predict that. So I hear what you're saying on that trajectory. So Corey, thank you for coming by. Sean should be coming in any second. But let me ask you first. What does the word provider mean to you as a man?
Okay, so provider. I honestly feel like it is something that, as a man, that is a part of life for us. We have to provide for children, wives. It's just something that's instilled in us. But I think what a provider is, in my own words, will be someone who just takes care of wife, kids, makes life easier for wife or kids. I think that's a partner too. But you want to make things easier, make things lighter for the ones you love. So when you're able to provide things that they need, more so than a want, but more of a need, then you feel that amount of success as a man. So that's pretty much what it kind of cut and dry for me when it comes to being a provider. Just someone who just shows that willingness to make sure that the ones they love, the ones they care for, have the things they need.
So is provider strictly financial?
Absolutely not. You have to provide love. You have to provide attention. You have to be patient. Yeah, it's a lot that comes with it. So definitely not just money. It's not monetary at all. I think that's a confusion sometimes when it comes to relationships or being a provider in a relationship, is that the word provider seems to take on that tone of monetary.
It does seem to take on that tone of monetary. So let me. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Onu. In the dating stage, are you are you looking for a woman that's making around the same amount as you? What are you looking for as far as your mate is concerned?
Honestly, when it comes to that, I'm not looking for a particular number.
Hmm.
As far as what she makes, she can make less, she can make more. It doesn't stop anything from going forward when it comes to our relationship. So I'm very confident when it comes to my ability to lead. So whether she has $1 million or whether she has $10 in the bank, my ability to lead will not change. So with that being said, it doesn't really matter to me, how much she comes into the door with, coming to the table with. What I need for her to come with is her ability to partner with me, her ability to make things easier or lighter for me as well, because it's not just one sided, it's both sides. So, as a woman coming to a man, she needs to be able to find out what it is about me, what I have going on, and how she can implement whatever she has going on to make things lighter for me. And that doesn't necessarily mean right there either.
What does that conversation look like? Because I hear what you're saying, as far as her partnering with you and making the things lighter for you. And when I asked that question, we talked on our last panel about providing that sense of peace for a man, or what does that look like to you? What does that
You,
partnership conversation look like to you?
okay, so you mean when you say the piece, you mean from a woman to a man?
Yes. What does so when you say that I want to know that she wants to provide that she wants to be a partner to me, and have that conversation with me. What does that look like to you?
Well,
At home life, work,
that's
financially, what does that look like?
it can be all of the above. It can be it's a wide range, and I'm not expecting her to cover the board all across the board. But if she can find that one thing that she can make lighter for me, the load lighter for me. So say for instance, sometimes this is frowned upon in some areas, but if we're together and she knows that I have a problem with getting up for work on time. If she woke up and, just for an example, if she were to iron my clothes for me before I go to work, that's helping me out. Some people make it seem like it's a chore, but that's someone who actually cares about you. They want you to get out to work on time. They want you to be looking good. So it's nothing wrong with that. So just to give you like a very light example, that would be an example of something very small that can be done to show that, okay, look, I want to see you, get to work on time.
Okay, I'm with you on that. And I think it was their last conversation when I think you were on Maria's channel, and we were talking about women. Sometimes because we've had to take on this role of just being self sufficient, that we get kind of we're surprised when a man wants to open the door for us, when a man wants to be a little bit chivalrous. Do you think do you think that that's still going on? Do you think that we have this idea in our head that we can do it all?
I think a lot of women have the idea in their head that they can do it all because they have had to do it all. So it will take the special type of man to be understanding of that woman. Most women do have to take care of their kids by themselves, unfortunately. Most of the time, women do have to take the trash out by themselves, unfortunately, open their own doors. But as a man coming into a situation like that, when you notice a woman is doing that, then you show her your chivalrous side. Once you continue to show that to her, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but it takes time for them to see, exactly, the kind of man that you are. And I think every man will possibly have a time limit on, okay, I'm showing you this, I'm showing you this 4 to 6 months, and you still think you can do it on your own. Do you have a need for me? Because there is a need. A man has to have that feeling of need from his woman. So for me, I think that's what it really boils down to.
Oh, we're going to go over this timeline. And I really want to ask Onu too, because that is so interesting. I love this idea of this timeline, 4 to 6 months. So you're qualifying her and to a point. Am I right?
Well, what it boils down to is this: the right woman for me, it's not going to look like Yeah, in a sense, I am qualifying her, to make sure that she is the right fit for me. Because for me, it takes a certain type of woman to understand the type of man that I want to be for her, and she needs to be open to that. Just like I have to be open to the type of woman she wants to be to me. So if I want to lighten her load and doing those things that women say they need a man to lighten the load for, I need for her to allow me to do that. And I think another problem with that is that we do have a lot of women that say that I want a man that's going to lighten his load. I want a man who's going to open the door for me to do this. But then when you get that man, you don't know how to, how to behave, not necessarily behave. You don't know how to interact with that type of behavior in a positive way because you're not used to it. You're not accustomed to it. So we have to get to a point where women really know what they want and not look at it from a stance of this looks good to this couple over here, so I want to try it in my relationship. You have to be self-aware and know exactly what it is that makes you tick. And I think if we get to that point, we have a lot more successful relationships.
I totally agree with that because your relationship is not going to be the same as the people next to you's relationship or the people on TV's relationship. So I totally understand that. So if you were in a relationship, what does the conversation look like if a woman wants 50-50 within that relationship, marriage, or in a relationship leading up to marriage?
Oh, I did the okay, I'm gonna ask this question for you. It will definitely be marriage. 50-50 split for me is not necessarily the number that I would go for, but 50-50 that she wanted to do and we agreed on it, then that's fine. But I don't have a problem with that. My ideal number, if we will talk percentages as far as splits, it'll be a 70-30. I just feel like me as being the man, I will take on the bulk of the finances in the relationship. And I say this only because times have changed. We have a lot of women, beautiful women out there who are making more than men are making. So we need to make sure that there is some type of balance when it comes to the needs of the relationship. Because like I said, it's supposed to be a partnership is helping each other out. It's assisting each other, making the workload, the life load a lot less on on your partner. So that doesn't mean you take it all the way away. So I will never sit here and say I will be the man to take care of 100% of everything. She has no responsibilities whatsoever. I don't think that's really the way that the world is set up. It should be set up. I think there should be as a head of household and the main provider in that household. I think that the bulk of the weight should be on me, but not on a 50-50 or more on her end than it is mine.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Onu that same question, but I really want you to cover this 70-30. What does that look like? Is that the mortgage, the car payments, and the children's school, and then she does all the bills, or what does that look like?
To me, that really just take care of the mortgage, all the household needs, as far as food for the family, clothing for the kids, that's included. But for that 30% for her is her car note, her car insurance, her phone bill, the utilities. It could be something like that, and it still would be a lot lower than it will be for the mortgage. At least in my case, I would think.
So you said that you guys went through that before, and that you were successful in that.
No, I was saying that I went through it in a relationship.
Okay.
I said I wouldn't do it again in a relationship, but I will in a marriage.
Got you. Okay.
I had to learn a tough lesson that way.
That's where. So you had to learn a tough lesson that way because you were in a relationship and you started to take on those burdens. You started taking on the relationship. Wait. Exactly. Okay, so I think I just answered the question for you. So you started to take on you started to take that on and it became a burden, or how did that go?
Well, I was doing it. It was taken for granted. So for that, that's the reason why I had to stop. I realized that in a relationship, you can invest as much as you want to, but a relationship is not guaranteed, nor is a marriage, but a marriage has a more of a sacred grounding to it than a relationship does. So I feel more comfortable moving forward doing it in a marriage than I would in a relationship.
Okay. So when you said it got taken advantage, I really, but was it emasculating or how did that go?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't emasculating. It was more of a I'm doing all of this X, Y, and Z, and she wasn't doing anything for me. Like say for instance, I take care of all the household needs except for buying food. She would go to the store, buy food for her and her son, but not the things that I like that she knows that I like. So it's like the simple things like that. I look at things like that and say, okay, are you considerate? Because being considerate is a big part of it in a successful relationship. So if she's missing that, then I can't deal.
I hear you. I hear you. I told. Okay, I got you. I got you on that one because I wouldn't mind ironing your clothes if you're doing all these things. So I got you on
That's what I
that.
would think. That's what I would think too. You know what I mean?
Okay, Onu. So I really want to add in. Go to you now because yeah, because so are you okay with the 50-50? Now I'm talking. I'm not talking dating. I'm talking in that relationship going into marriage. You're qualifying this woman to see if she's interested, if she's the one for marriage or in a marriage.
So we're in a relationship. That's what you're saying. So you're saying 50-50 everything in a relationship.
Yes. Is that okay with you?
So when you say 50-50, does that mean like if we go out on a date, the bill comes, we're going two cards out, split everything 50-50?
You tell me. Is that what you would want to do? Or you're somebody that's like, no, I need to be paying those things.
I I don't know. I really don't know. Um I mean right now I'm kind of hesitant. I don't again like when people's again like I like to be treated the way I like to be treated. So if I'm going out with friends and my friends want to split the bill 50 five six different ways, no problem no problem bees I'm going out with friends. If I'm with my woman and we're splitting things like 50-50 at the dinner table, like what's the whole point if we're going back to the same destination? So I guess like in a marriage, like is that what you really want to do? Like I don't see the to me I don't see the point of things being 50-50. Now I think it'll be nice if we decide if we have an understanding exactly. Hey, like you know what, if you're gonna if this is like my treat, I'm gonna take care of it this time, and vice versa. To me, that's more like a I guess a partnership aspect. Again, maybe this time I cover this bill, or this time I cover this vacation, or this, or you know what, I went ahead and paid for this while you understand. To me, I want that when I look at my future marriage. That's something I want. Like putting everything like down to half like an invoice sheet. To me, it's like okay, what's the whole point of that? Does that make sense?
So what's the whole point of doing 50-50 if
Like 50-50, like itemized 50-50. Like again, like I spent $30 on both the groceries, paying back $25. I think I forget what it was it Married at First Sight like 2 seasons ago? I forget, it was the it was like nurse practitioner and somebody else. The guy was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I bought Thai food. It came at $86. You want me to cash app you the other half?" I'm like, again,
Yes.
like what's the?
I think
I
that's
think
nitpicking. I think that's nitpicking. I
that's
think that
nitpicking, but again, like to me, it's like okay, that's too far. Again, I don't want that. But the intention is nice, but at the same time, it's like there's a tactful way to do things and not tactful way to do things. If you don't want to, if you feel like hey, you're not going to pay me back, whatever. Again, that's fine. That's on you. That's on to me on you. I don't want that energy around me. So again, like I'm not going to be like okay, everything's being optimized down around. However, I do think being a generous person is possible. And again, if you believe that everything's only 50-50, if I'm paying for 100% of things, you're not going to want me to do that. You're going to find ways to meet me, at least try to meet me halfway. So, are you going to allow me to do that and do that? I kind of feel like when we get in those situations, do I feel do I feel in spite that I have to spend all this money and the other person's pretty much not either accepting of it or not doing anything to change their own habits. So again, I kind of feel like what is the rub off going to be? Like if you're adamant, like okay, like things have to be this particular way. If I'm not doing that, like what is it going to take for you to reach me? Are you going to acknowledge it, or are you going to stay in your own stance? I think that's what I'll definitely kind of feel out, especially in a relationship. Because again, like when we get to marriage, again, like to me, is that how we're going to do? Is that how we're going to do things? Because again, if I think when you run down that risk, money equates power. And again,
Right.
I'm buying everything, doing everything. I buy and do exactly everything I want to do. So your opinion is going to come less and less in that situation. So to me, the way I view that is, I can be able to make the decisions, live life exactly the way I want to see fit. Therefore, I'm gonna do exactly everything that I want to do. I.e., I'm gonna go to the restaurants, the entertainment. I'm gonna have the cars, the vacations, etc. There's nothing you can say or do about that because again, you've never made any attempt in a relationship to actually fight back on the way I present or do things. And if it was okay in the relationship, it's not how's that gonna be any different in marriage? So again, to me, it's like the way you practice is the way you play the game. So if that's how you're gonna act in practice, you can't get mad when game time happens and things go the way it goes.
So I'm going to ask a different question. Let's talk about these practicing. Let's talk about this practice on Black. So do you or do you think men think that women play games, um, uh, play that wait and see game when it comes to the check, when it comes to let me see how he's going to act, let me see if he's going to pay this, let me see if he's going to pay my bill, pay my nails, pay for my nails, and that type of thing. Or you know that game where let me just put my card down and he'll say, oh no, I got it. Do you think that there's a lot of game playing when it comes to the dating situation?
Can I go? You want me to go
Yeah,
first?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Go.
yeah, you go ahead. Go for it.
Who wants? Corey, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I would say go for it.
Go.
I think there's game playing, yes, for sure. Like I'll say it, but at the same time, it's like okay, like I kind of feel like I think comes like a pride thing. Like I don't want to put myself out there first, which I understand, and I kind of get that. But at the same time, is at what point are you going to realize that I'm not like everybody else? That's my whole thought process. So again, if you want to play, okay, like I'm not going to pay for anything, whatever. I'm not going to show any generosity. I'm like, all right, cool. How long you think that's gonna? How long you think it's gonna last before I'm going to say something about it? And it's like I can make it a game as well. We can go out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and we're just dating. But if you want to graduate to a different to I guess the date exclusively relation phase, how do you believe that mindset's going to be? How do you think that mindset's going to? How am I going to take that when I'm like, you know what? I feel like I have to put myself out here just for you to be in my presence, just to be acknowledged in your presence. And to me, it's like, okay, is that what you really want to do? And most women kind of change their tune up, like up very quickly when that situation happens.
So that tit for tat doesn't work. That tit for tat doesn't work. I would right, Corey. What do you think?
Yeah, it doesn't work in the long run. I mean, eventually someone's going to get tired of it, and they're going to actually end up leaving. To me, I do agree with Onu, and what he said is that there are a lot of games being played during relationships, especially during the initial phase of dating, because you don't know what's going on. You want to make sure you're not being, played. You want to make sure a man has concerns as far as being played just for financial gain, for a free lunch, free dinner, or whatever. A woman has a concern about being played just for her body. So it's valid concerns, and so you want to make sure you're going into it with the purest of intentions, and that integrity is at an all-time high. But what ends up happening is that if both people don't settle down and just say, okay, I'm going to give this the attention that it deserves, until someone gives you a reason not to give it the attention it deserves, then you need to go in, with your mind focused on doing the right thing for the right reasons.
Corey, do you even give it that 4 to 6 months, as you just said?
4 to 6 months. What about
When
4 to
you
6 months?
when you give that when you guys are doing that, if you notice the tit for tat thing, if you notice the game playing.
No, I noticed the game plan pretty straightforward. I'll know where we're going to be as a couple within those 90 days. And I think it's a reason why corporations incorporate the whole 90-day rule. It's because in 90 days, it really gives you an ideal sense of who you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You can cover a lot of ground in 90 days if your intent on the relationship is to be married or to be with this person for a long period of time, the rest of your life, or what have you. So I think that 90 days tells me a lot because I ask the right questions. We go on the right type of dates. We interact the right way. Those things will fall in place if it's done in the way that you want it to. Like a man has a plan. If a man is marriage intent, he has a plan going in. And sometimes that plan is not adopted. If it's not adopted, it's perfectly fine. That's all up to her. But the plan is not a selfish plan. It's a plan for both of them to grow. And of course, her voice matters. I think I saw that your voice does matter as far as where you would like to see the relationship go, how you want to see it developed and grow. But as a man, as a leader, he has to be able to structure a relationship in such a way to make sure that both of you guys are growing. So you can't say that you want to have a man that's a leader and at the same time won't allow him to lead that relationship. So it kind of goes in.
So AW asked about, does age matter? And when it comes to the game playing, that do you think the age matters? Do you think the age matters? And as Onu was talking about earlier, her education status and where she's at in her career. Do you think when it comes to the ladies playing the game playing with finances or him being a provider, do you think that the age of the woman matters?
Good question. I say it doesn't matter. It can matter, but for the most part, it should not matter. And again, it's all about finding out about your partner or your potential partner. So to me, when I'm dating someone, I ask them about their past. I ask them about things that matter to them, because me understanding their past, where they've come from, the type of relationships they've been in the past, that lets me know if they're ready for what I have to offer. So if I'm talking to someone and I ask them, okay, tell me about the best relationship you've ever been in, she should be able to do that. All the men she's dated can't be dogs. All the men she's dated can't be players or pimps or whatever. There's got to be one good apple in that bunch. And I want her to tell me about it. I want to see her enthusiasm. I want to see her eyes pop when she talks about it. And I won't take offense to that. I need to know that she has the capability of doing that. I want you to be excited when you're being with me. I want you to be excited going out on dates with me. I want your eyes to pop in that same way. So it really determines her history, who she is as a woman, and how she would add value to my life, and how I can see myself adding value to hers. Because I've seen some very intelligent younger women, and I've seen some older women who are not so intelligent. So age really, sometimes it does not matter, but sometimes it can it can be a factor.
Onu, what do you think? Does her career or her where she's at education wise and her age, does that matter when it comes to the game playing? As you said, do you think that there is a lot of game playing where the women are concerned?
Does it matter? No. I don't think they're both. I don't think those both variables kind of go hand in hand. I mean, I don't think the age matters. I think for the most part, I think most women, that's what they typically do, especially in the courting dating phase. I don't think education is a good amplitude if someone's gonna force you to pay, not pay, not pay, or it's gonna be gameplay or not. I just kind of feel like how do most women approach dating, and I guess in the courting initial phase versus like once they're comfortable into dating someone exclusively or being in a relationship. I mean, if I look at my life again, I kind of feel like I see it running rampant with pretty much everyone I date. So am I picking bad choices all around, or is that just the mindset of everyone that I'm dating? I can't pull those two variables out.
Okay. Sean, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
What's up, Crystal? What's going on, Corey and Ono?
Now we can hear you clearly. We're asking a question now, and I'm going to go back to the previous question for you, Sean, but I really want to ask you this question about just the dating phase and financially. Do you think men, or do you, Sean, think that women play games or trying to play these games and play the wait and see game when it comes to like when the check comes, or let me see how he is in a relationship. Let me see if he'll, pay this for me and do these things for me. Do you think that a lot of women play that wait and see game? when it comes to qualifying the man?
I think I don't know that I've had a lot of experience where women have done that, in the wait and see part. But I've definitely, you know, seen and experienced conversations around money. Um, wanting to know exactly what my perspective is on it, wanting to, be taken care of, be provided for, right, in the relationship. I've definitely, whether it was directly said or alluded to, the fact that they wouldn't have to be responsible for majority of any bills or expenses in the household, things like that, and wanting to see, if I'm comfortable or willing to, foot the bill for most of the household expenses and things like that. So that's definitely something I've seen, experienced, and heard about for sure. Game playing, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of it. I definitely know it exists. Um, you know, but around the financial aspect, I'm not 100% sure that I've had an experience on the game playing around finances.
Okay, that makes sense then. So I'm going to go back, John. What does the word provider mean to you? Now, as you as a man,
Hmm.
as provider for your relationship, going in from a relationship going into marriage.
So, I see that as um, my responsibility to make sure things in the household are taken care of. I would say, also that I am taking care of all of the things traditionally that, a man would do around the house, right? So that would be, major household expenses. That would be doing certain duties around the house, be it take out the garbage and, make sure things that need to be fixed in our home are taken care of, whether there's a leak or, some major structural component of the house needs to be repaired. Those are things that I would be responsible for and be taking on, and that is stuff that I'm pretty much comfortable doing. Right? That was my idea. Maybe everybody doesn't know, but I was married for 5 years, so that was pretty much how things ran in my particular household. Anything household related in terms of taking care of it, that was just the things that I was responsible for, right? I took care of the majority of our expenses and bills and things like that. I took, that was that concept. That's what I think of, what that means. Now, it can change from person to person, couple to couple, depending on what's going on, right? Especially now people are getting married later and later in life. So I don't necessarily think that, in all instances, a man is going to be taking over every aspect of a woman's financial responsibilities. And I don't think that makes him any less of a provider if he does not. So, but yeah, do things change from time to time? Absolutely. And every situation is unique and different, right? If we have kids and that comes into the equation together, I think that takes on a whole new element, right? When a woman has kids, that is when, for me, I really think a man's provider, ship should really kick in high gear. When we have kids and we have a family, because, obviously we all understand a woman bears the burden of that process, right? She is, the one that gives birth to the kids. She's the one that will have to take off work for an extended period of time to take care of that child if she is working. Some women want to stay home for a period of time after their child is born, and I feel like if there's if my wife were to want to do that, then it's my job to make sure that we can still sustain our household and do that.
So I'm going to go back to something you just said because Onu was speaking about this earlier, and he said that one of his as that husband is the king and the queen, and making sure that the queen is taken care of. If the king, if something happens to the king, right? And absolutely, I totally understand what you're saying as far as that provider. But what if the queen gets pregnant and after the baby's born, she wants to go right back to work, and let's say I'm gonna give her more than 6 weeks, give her 8 weeks. Are you okay with that? And I understand every child is different, and there's always circumstances that happen with children. But what if she wants to jump back right into the workforce and she is that um, executive? What do you
Well,
think?
listen, if that's what she wants, obviously I'm going to support that. I think if we are married, because I don't believe in, for me personally, I wouldn't want to have kids outside of wedlock. So if we're married, then I will know that about my wife. I will know, what her desires are, and if that's something we have discussed, and that's a plan that she's has, and once the baby comes, she's like, I'm ready to be back in 2 months, then listen, let's work it out. We'll figure it out. Especially like you said, Crystal, if she's an executive, then that brings a different level of financial security. So we can afford to also have additional help in the household to help with taking care of the child. We got to get that right person, ideally a close family member, but if not, somebody that we have vetted and know that we can trust to be with our child. So you
I,
know.
you know what? That is so interesting. Do you think? Well, one, let me go back. You as Sean, now you're divorced now, and you're back to interested in dating and finding that significant other now. Do you want a woman that's making the same amount as you and the same career path as you, or you don't mind if she's packing groceries at Kroger's?
Um, I mean, I don't want to be rude, but I don't think that a woman that is packing groceries and Kroger's is going to come into my sphere, but I don't necessarily have a floor or a ceiling in terms of her income, right? What be it my wife or women that I've dated in the past have all been professional, and did well independently of me. So I don't necessarily have a preference. It's for me, it's the respect and it's how you treat me, right? So whatever your career path happens to be, whether you are making the same, a little less, or even more, as long as you respect me, we're good. And as long as you understand that your money doesn't define who you are, then it's fine. I see AW says, "Don't I go grocery shopping?" Yeah, but most of the time I get my groceries delivered, and also when I'm in the grocery store, I'm not looking to flirt with the cashier. So that's what I mean. Like usually, the people I date, the women I date, are women that are people that we're in the same spaces, right? We are meeting each other because we're out at the same places. We are in the same professional environments. So those are the women that I choose to date. Now, listen, I don't disparage any brother that chooses any woman that he wants to be with, and any woman of any demographic is all fair game. Just hasn't been my experience, and normally not, you know, not who I would normally be interested in. But I say all that to say, like, I don't have a thing about it. Like, look, she makes more money, go for it. Go for it. But you don't think that money makes you better, doesn't elevate you in terms of status. We are still in this relationship, and as long as we can communicate effectively together with no disrespect, I'm good with it.
We talked about this last time, but you've mentioned this again, that respect conversation. As far as being a provider, what does that respect conversation look like to you? And the reason I ask is, Because I agree, I would like a provider, but I also know that I'm, making my own money. I want to know what that conversation looks like to you. And what if you were on a date and a woman said, or not just on a date, you think, we're in the trajectory of, we're in a relationship. I really like this woman, right? And she's like, no, I want everything 50-50 split down the middle. What would you say to that conversation?
Look, I'm not going to talk anybody out of that. If it, and sometimes it depends on the reason. So I would want to, like, I'm a why person. For no matter what the split is, if it's 70-30, if it's 90-10, whatever the split is, I want to know the why. So I'm going to ask, some follow-up questions in terms of, so why do you think that way? Why is 50-50 important? If we make the same amount of money, then perhaps 50-50 makes sense. But I would want to know why. Some women, and I've had and heard these conversations, they want to do 50-50 to retain their power, so that they don't feel like a man is taking care of them, and then they don't have to feel beholden to that man, right? And then there's also that age old expression, especially in marriages, where women are told, keep a little something on the side, have that little side account that nobody knows about, so that just in case fund, right? So some of that is out there. So I would want to unpack that. And if that's the way a woman is thinking, I would want to kind of see, well, why do you feel that way? What has caused you to feel that way? Have you had bad experiences? Is there something that makes you, feel that you need to move in this capacity? Because I don't necessarily think it has to be 50-50, even if we make the same amount of money. I don't think, I'm open to whatever makes sense. And it's not like I go in saying, okay, we got to do it this way. Because I've just found, like, even in my own marriage and just in relationships, we can think one thing and we could go in with a whole plan and it sounds real good, right? It looks real good on paper. But when the rubber meets the road and you are in reality with another human being, you got to give each other space. You got to give each other space and room for what makes sense to each of you, right? Because I can have the best laid out plan and it sounds great. And that works in business. I'm a professional. And in management, so I get plans, and you should have them. But leave room for editing in your plan when you're in a relationship with somebody else, with another person.
That makes sense. Hey, Bronzebird, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Peace. What's going on?
Hey, thank you guys. So I want to ask you the same question, Bronzebird, because I've rated the guys enough, especially on him. But so I want to go back to this because I know that you said last time, we said, take time for yourself. You really talked to the men about taking time for yourself and finding out what you want in a relationship first. But I wonder, the reason why I'm asking this question, you guys, is that, I have a lot of friends, and that some friends that are single, some are married, some are in, long-term relationships, and they're still, doing the game playing, as we say. So that's why I ask these questions. And then, I was on a date and a guy said, it's a woman decides if a woman decides if she's going to have sex, a man decides if he's going to be in a relationship. A man is the one that is going to make those decisions. So I really want to know from you, do you think that's true, Bronzebird, that a man decides if he's going to be in that relationship and if he's going to really take her, long term into marriage and so on?
You damn right. That's so true. All right. So, because listen, the thing about it is, a man is always, and I'm not saying that women don't think like this. I'm just saying a man is thinking longevity, right? He's thinking longevity and like, how do I see a future with this woman I'm going to be with? He'll try to see by the personality, the energy she gives off. And I'm talking about men that think on a high value, not high value man, high level. You understand? Their whole entire mindset is, if I'm going to engage with a girl, I know this woman is what I think I'm going to take her seriously, and this other girl I'm not going to take seriously. It's two different things, right? So the thing about it is, I think the guy just made a good point. The fact of the matter is, women initiate sex, men initiate the relationship. Because the thing about it is, it's all about getting to know each other, but at the same time, a woman wants to feel comfortable with that man, and a man wants to feel comfortable in knowing that that woman is for him. So that's why I think that is a true statement, you know, because it's not like the guy because guys are visual creatures. So I mean, it's usually you're not gonna find guys that's gonna deny sex. You know what I'm saying? Like they will, but it's not. You know what I mean? If it's a really attractive woman, he's really into her. You know what I mean? And if she's flirting and she's doing all the, you know, all the flirtatious, feminine likings and stuff like that, talking about she want the, you know what, then you know it's gonna happen, right? So I think this statement is true without a shadow of the doubt. You know.
Okay, so let me go back to a previous question. Then I asked all the gentlemen, and you I think you and Onu are around the same age. Do you think that men think that women are kind of playing games when it comes to the relationship, and let that wait and see game? Let me see if he's going to pay for this. Let me see if he's going to pay for that. And because I have some friends that do that, and I'm on one hand I'm impressed because I can't. I'm not comfortable doing that. That's not to say that they're wrong for doing that. But you know, he's going to pay for this. He's going to not just pay for food and dinner, but he's going to make these extra efforts.
Yeah, I think when it comes to women, that oftentimes it's about test, seeing how if the man can pass their test. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it in a misogynistic way. It's just that there's been experiences that I've had. Well, primarily one experience which really taught me a lot. Not about women, just that person in particular, right? The thing about it is like one of those type of things where they won't say it right away, but then it's just like a couple of months later they brought it up and they was like, well, how come you didn't do this and how come you do that? Well, I was like, well, how you gonna say this now? We 3-4 months into liking each other and now you want to mention this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the thing about it is that I just view it like women do test, right? And the reason they want to do that is to see if you are on point with them. Now the thing about it is, it's really weird because men are not going to sugarcoat anything. Usually men are straightforward. They're just like, look, this is what it is. This is how it is. You know what I mean? This is how we move. With a woman, it's like she's giving you signals and she's saying it subconsciously, right? And you have to pick up on it, or you have to be very direct with her and say, all right, look, listen, I'm not with the BS. What is it? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? How we moving? You know what I'm saying? So the thing about it is, I do think that's true. You understand? That's just how women are built. You know, we're different. We're different creatures. We operate different ways in how we think and how we move, and that's okay.
Talk about this high value mindset that you just mentioned.
I didn't even mean to bring that up. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even mean to.
We're here now. It's okay. Okay.
Got myself into a corner now. I can't.
That's okay. I'll navigate to somebody else.
No. That's cool. I'll talk about it.
Question.
High value man. I said high value mindset. I'm not going to mention the man that I do not want to mention. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say HVM. I'm as in high value. I'm meaning the mindset like men are not spending their time just trying to get with a woman primarily for lust chase or getting with a woman because of sex. You understand? They're not looking at vanity as their main point of, you know, describing themselves and seeking validation from someone else. A high value thinking man knows his mission, knows his plan, and wants a woman that matches his energy. That's basically the whole. That's what I think, in my opinion, the high value thinking man goes. You know what I mean?
Oh, repeat that. He matches his mindset. She
matches his energy. You know what I mean? They think alike. They have a similarity to each other where they can bounce off each other and agree and move forward. You know.
Go ahead, Onu.
I mean, hey, Brown Spurs doing a great job. I
try, man. I try.
But yeah, I think just I don't have time. I don't have time to waste when it comes to dating. So again, like if this is how you're gonna, if you're gonna play games or you're gonna do childish things, that's fine. I'm not gonna sit there and we're going to have a discussion about the childish games. We're going to get past that, and then we'll have a discussion. So again, you want me to pay for the bill? That's fine. I'll pay for the bill. But at the same time, understand stupid games get stupid prizes. Why am I constantly paying for the bill if I'm not getting what I want? I can go find someone else who's going to treat me better.
Corey, what do you think of that high value mindset?
Okay, so to me, this is what I have to say about high value mindset and the search for. I understand what Brunsberg was saying, but I'm gonna take it just a little bit of a step further with a high value mindset as it pertains to a woman or a man. It is my belief that searching for high value is something that you have every right to do, but you find yourself in a very interesting situation. I think that you need to find someone who is of equal value, and equal value does not mean the exact same way. It means equal value of many different things, because a person can add value to your life in ways where you are weak in. It may not be your strength, but it may be a weakness for you, but they have value they can add to you with that. And I say that because when you start looking for a high value man or a high value woman, and you haven't checked your own value, you then turn yourself into a liability instead of an asset. Because having someone that you have to depend upon for financial stability, or just for financing your life. That's why I don't want to be a kind of guy that's saving anyone. I don't want to have to come in and swoop down and save someone. I want someone who can hold their own, someone who knows how it is to pay a bill, who knows how it is to work hard for their money, so they understand that I work hard for mine as well. So to say that means that I just feel that the high value mindset has to come to a point where, okay, do you add value to my life? Can I add value to your life? If the answer to that is yes, it's a possibility this can work, but if it's only one person who's adding value to the other person's life and the other person's not getting anything in return, okay, why are you here? Same thing that Bruns was saying, why are you here? So I agree.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Like I said, I'll iron the clothes if you're doing all this. I got you on that. Brownsburg, I would go back. Go ahead, Corey. What were you going to say?
Yeah, and I was saying that that's usually how it would go. If a man is taking care of X, Y, and Z, a woman is more than happy to do A, B, and C. So it just really, now I think we're at a point now when it comes to relationships and how people view relationships once they're in them. Once they're in them, they're great. But I think that happiness or that thrill needs to be ongoing in a relationship, because someone can always find complacement. Someone can always find a way to be content with what's going on in their relationship. And at that point, it's no longer fun. There's no more positive energy that they feel is coming from their relationship. So you have to, it's tough to be in a relationship because it's ever growing, it's ever changing. So, yeah.
Okay, Bronsford, I'm back to you. What does the word provider mean to you as a man?
The word provider to me means someone who's able to weather through the storm and be able to supply the necessary or necessities when it comes to essential things, and like being in a household and necessities of what it means in a household, like basic stuff of the bills, the groceries, the all, what I mean, stuff like that. That's in basic terms, that's basically what I would see as a provider. Even if we're going to talk about a provider for himself before he starts taking on providers for other people and other things out there. And then, of course, if you don't have children, pets, and all these different things, providers like that.
So I know you said you're an easygoing guy, Bronsberg, but yeah. Is provider purely financial to you?
No. I think too many times, especially in this society, unfortunately, we focus on finances. So we're not able to look at a potential partner and be like, besides the financial stuff, how could you be a provider for me? Can you be a provider when I need you most, when it comes to my therapy, my emotions, right? Can you be a provider for when, you know, I might need someone to pick me up if I'm having a hard day or something? There's an emergency. Provider in those type of senses. You understand? So the thing about it is, I think too many times what sucks the fun out of a lot of these relationships and getting to know someone is always just going to economics. And I'm like, okay, economics is one component to the relationship and getting to know someone. But at the same time, provider can have many roles besides the finances. And, you know, wish that more individuals, you know, understood that.
So, and I actually think that that's what Corey was saying earlier, that it's not just if I'm providing in other areas, is she being a provider for me? Is she picking up that slack? Am I right, Corey? For lack of a better word?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I need to know that she can be there for me in other ways. In a way that she can see, like I want a woman who's going to pay attention to me, so she understands where my weaknesses lie and how she can actually make those weaknesses stronger. That's impressive to me. I love that. That's very attractive to me. So yeah, I think a woman should be able to find those things in her man, or even want to find those things in her man that she can actually help improve.
You know, I hope that she could be a provider for me on making me gain weight by the time it's Thanksgiving. You understand? Take care of me. That'd be a provider for woman to me. You know what I'm saying? The mac and cheese and all that since Thanksgiving is coming up. You understand?
Okay, I got you. So you need a woman that's going to cook. If you're doing all the other things, then that's important to you.
My brother is about to hibernate in the winter, so I mean, why not? You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, I got you, Corey. Well, I just called you Corey. I got you, Bronzberg. So you know what, Sean, I have that same question for you. Does provider? I understand that you, as the provider, are providing a lot on your end and picking up the household stuff. But do you agree with what Corey and Bronsberg was saying, that she needs to provide mentally and emotionally as well?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, there's also emotional provision, right? And in addition to what, you know, Bronsberg and Corey stated, like, you know, I've said this often, but it's the peace for me. Like, peace is so important. So I need, you know, my woman to provide the peace, right? To make our home a happy home, right? And not all by herself, but to ensure that our home is a place of peace, to ensure that, you know, she is doing everything that she can to not let anything that's in her control come in to disrupt our happiness. That could be meddling girlfriends. That could be, you know, family members that don't have the best intentions. You name it. You know, those are all things that women have. They hold the door to that. And, you know, keeping our home looking a particular way, you know, so that it's clean and just a place of comfort, right? You know, that was one thing I gotta say, you know, being divorced, I missed that because my wife, there was nothing, you know, my ex-wife, that house, anybody could stop by on any good day of the week and we didn't have to rush or feel bad about, you know, this was out of place or that was out of place. You know, certain things like that to me was providing, because that was just a sense of security that I had and knew that when I came home, it was comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is another part that is just so important, and that women can bring. And I think, you know, many women do that wonderfully. I think, unfortunately, standards and times now, there are certain women that feel like that's not their role, or why should they have to do that? That becomes a question, and it's something that I've heard, and and it just does become frustrating that we have to have this back and forth. Like, why would you not want to do that? Like, you know, you have expectations of me. These are my expectations of you. And I think sometimes as fellas, and I think we've done a good job. And even as I was listening, even before I jumped on, we do a good job of tiptoeing around some things, right? And we know we have to do that as men, right? Sometimes we can come on a bit strong. Sometimes we could say things with our chests, and the ladies can get their back up about what we're saying. But I think that I'm saying all that to say, like, it is a very highly debated topic about what a woman's role is in the house. And I think there are many modern women, who are professionals, who have careers, who sometimes enter into that space, and they may, interact with us men, and they don't always feel like they should have to do that. That's when they're like, well, why can't you do it? And you could do this too, and I could do it, and I'm working just like you're working, and then we have this back and forth. And I think sometimes conversations like this is important, because we don't necessarily always see eye to eye about what women should be doing in the house.
Sean, you just led me to my next question, actually. Do you believe women today have a misunderstanding or misguided view of the word provider or the man's position? I'm actually going to ask Onu first. You're on mute, Onu. Let me unmute you.
I think so, yes. I would say yes. I think a lot of people are confused exactly what that means. I'm trying to get a better understanding. I think most women are willing to do nurturing things or willing to take care of the household if all the financial needs are being met. But at the same time, again, going back to what I said about kings and queens, exactly what do you want me to do or not to do in order for things to go well? We can nitpick these detail by detail, but at the same time, I shouldn't have to, in order for you to take care of the household, it shouldn't mean that I have to pay for everything inside the house, if that makes any sense. Especially when I'm not the one buying, let's say, the furniture, or I might not making the final decisions, furniture or the pictures or the mirrors or things that are in the house. Why is that such of a big deal? I kind of feel like, if my heart means as much to me as to you, and if I want something done, you're going to do everything in your power in order to get that done. You're not going to wait until I meet some financial quota in order to get it done. So if I want an upkept house and I know how to upkeep a house, why are you not going to do that if you're going to be living in a house with me? That's the way I kind of interpret it. So if you're Miss Independent, you have your own apartment, you have your own house, and you're doing all these things up to now, why should the relationship or why should the marriage, you should have a different approach into how to upkeep a house versus you don't know how to do so prior to getting into the house? So to me, that's the conversation I'm having with myself. And the way, and I guess when I'm looking at women, looking at these type of women, who's like, you know what, until you show me that you can pay for everything, I'm not going to do those things. To me, that's not the type of person I want to be around. And I don't have to do that because I know what I want to do, and I'm doing exactly what I'm being bad all by myself right now. So I don't need to have someone come into my life after the fact in order to make sure that I get things done. Hope that answers your question.
Bronsberg, what do you think? Do you think that women today have a misunderstanding of the word provider and a misunderstanding of the word partner as well? In a man's role?
Well, I honestly feel like when women think of provider, they're only thinking the financial sense. I think that a lot of women think like that today. But even still, the idea of the give and take strategy. This is what I do, and this is what you can do for me as I do for you. Um, it's they don't. It's not really believing in that anymore on both sides, I guess. But it's like, well, if you're not making no money for me, what are you good for? You know what I mean? So you're not a provider for me for anything else except for if it's finances. That's just what I see fit. The idea of a partner, let's not forget this, because on both sides I've seen very predatory behavior. Um, if we're just going to say women for this example, I just want to make a disclaimer: I am not a misogynist, so people can understand that. Just this is a disclaimer. But the thing about it is, I'll see with women of today sometimes is that they're looking to use a man for his money. And the fact of the matter is, if they go on a date, they feel as if like, oh yeah, well, I'm automatically going to be able to eat for free because he's paying for my meal, and I can upright and leave him after that because he already paid for my meal. I'm not interested in this guy at all. I just wanted to come for a free meal. So the concept of a provider, I think in today's society, is only based around primarily finances. It's not even about anything else, it seems like. And the idea of a partner, again, it's just like it's not really a business deal. It's more like, well, if you don't do these certain things for me, then you're not in a relationship with me. You know what I mean? You're not doing anything for me. You're not useful. So that's what I'm seeing, and it's just honestly becoming a little bit more toxic, you know. So you're muted, Crystal. You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. So I'm going to ask Corey. I'm going to actually go back to what Bronsberg just said. But Corey, first, do you think today we as women have a misunderstanding of the word provider and the man's role in the relationship?
Okay, I would say some. I would say some women have a misunderstanding. There are women who grew up in a two-parent household who have seen their mother and father interact with each other, and they've seen what a provider, a leader looks like. There are women who may have not grown up in a two-parent household who have seen examples of other men in the streets or other family members that have shown their ability to provide, and they've been taught by example. Now, you have those, and you have women who may not have had that example, and those are the ones what makes it harder to convey what you're trying to produce in a relationship. It makes it hard to show that you are a provider. You can do everything under the sun. I wish there was a love language for understanding how do you want to be provided for. That I think that would really help us out as men to understand how a woman sees us as providers. But just to answer your question, though, yes, I think that there are some, but I think there are also some that understand and some that don't understand. But the ones that understand it is, in my experience, it's been a lot easier to be in a relationship with them and to be a provider, to be someone who's chivalrous in a relationship with them versus someone who hasn't had that example growing up.
I agree with you, and that actually goes back to what Onu was talking about with family, and in dating, if you see that the person that you're dating or you're in a relationship with doesn't talk to his mother or has had a bad relationship with his mother growing up and things like that, and when it comes to family in the relationship with you, there's going to be some strife. There's going to be some issues. So you really have to find out, how did he interact? What was his parentage growing up? And so he knows. So then what he thinks of as a provider and what a provider looks like to you. Yeah. So, but I do want to go back to this question, Sean. I want to ask you a separate question. What does high value woman look like to you? What does a high value woman look like to you?
I guess to me, because I know there's also a general, understanding that other people may have, but to me, it is a woman that is professional, right? In some sense, does have a career. Also, a woman that is marriage minded, a woman that can be easily matched with a high value man, meaning that their lifestyles would would coincide, right? You know, that they would be in similar spaces together. But you know, I also think a woman that doesn't doesn't feel like she has to match a man. For me, that is a high value woman, right? Doesn't feel like she has to be in competition with a man, you know, in any way, shape, or form. She is comfortable in her femininity and who she is as a woman, and whatever that looks like. Obviously, we know women's femininity shows up in all different types of ways. I just mean that she is comfortable being a woman and not feeling like she has to go toe to toe with a man, right? And has success in her own right, but her success does not mean that she has to diminish anyone else. Um, that would be pretty much my definition.
Go ahead, Onu.
Um, I think that part. I think Sean pretty much hit on the head. I'm looking for some. I mean, I want to strive for equality. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
I mean, I strive for equality. So again, like, just take gender out of it. Just take money out of it. Exactly. I want you to be able to do things for me that I can do for you, and vice versa. Like, why can't we have in an ideal partnership or an ideal world? That's what I want.
Bronsberg, what does a high value woman look like to you?
Well, in its simplest ways, just a woman who knows exactly what a role is as a woman. And knowing that when she gets with a man, she is already marriage minded, and knowing that her husband and herself is an asset to each other, right? Thing about it is, marriage, we got to get over the idea of marriage just being all lovey dovey and all that other stuff. No, you have to remember marriage in its legal sense is a partnership, okay? So you are a business and your woman. I mean, well, a woman is a business and a man is a business, right? So the thing about it is, when we're talking about marriages, it's two businesses coming together as one, right? So when you're talking about a high value woman, she understands that. She wants to help the man. She wants to be there for the man. She wants to uplift the man. And I'm not talking about uplift a man who's not doing anything. All right, we're talking about a man who has a course of action, a plan, moving forward, already can do good and bad by himself. Okay, so the high value woman wants to be his teammate, agree with him, and be able to maneuver together as a couple and as a force to be reckoned with. That's what I believe like a high value woman would go as.
Okay. You know, Brownsburg, do you truly believe in like the traditional? The woman is in like cooking at night. She's doing all the cooking and everything. That the traditional mindset of a woman.
No, I think that that is over and done with. You know, my thing is that there just needs to be an agreement, whether it's unspoken or spoken, between a man and a woman of what her role is and what his role is. So the traditional woman, I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't really think it's there like it used to be, but I think there are certain women who have that understanding. You know.
So, Corey, let me ask you a question about this feminine energy because I really want to know about this. When when a man says that a woman is not truly working in feminine energy, what do you mean? What does she mean? What do you mean by that? What do men mean by that? Or she's displaying masculine energy?
Okay, a woman that displays masculine energy or is not feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it could be misdiagnosed sometimes, but I would think that that's not something I would normally say. How I would categorize someone, to be honest with you. But if
How do
I
you
was to take a
categorize it?
stab at it,
How do you
well,
categorize it?
I just like I said before, it's all about patience. Like when a woman is doing masculine things, it's usually because they're doing things that men are usually take the lead in. So if they're doing things that men don't normally take the lead in, they have to see an example of a man taking lead in those things because they're so accustomed to doing those things by themselves. What I mentioned earlier about taking care of the kids and taking out the trash and cooking all the time by themselves, cleaning all the time by themselves, they don't have that example of a man coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to take the lead in this. I want you to relax and chill and just love on me. That's it. That's pretty much what you have to do. But because there's a little bit, it's not as much of that coming out that much. It makes it harder for some men to understand that, and some men to actually be patient enough to, show a woman the way when it comes to certain things. Because if they don't have an example of it, you have to be more and more patient. But to me, I do feel that, if a woman is being more masculine in the relationship, then it's really, for me, it's a breakdown of just her doing things that I would normally take the lead in.
Odin, what do you think about that? This idea of feminine energy and masculine energy, a woman displaying more masculine energy.
I think they're doing it intentionally and intentionally. So yes, I think especially when I look at modern women, like again, when they're trying to show independence or counter independence, you have to show, you have to show that you can't not. You have to be respected. You want people to take you for authority. So again, sometimes that doesn't look feminine at particular times. And sometimes that energy kind of bleeds into relationships. It's kind of hard to interact with that. Most guys don't want to date like their homeboys or the competition. So it's not as easy as a switch. I mean, for guys, yes, you can be masculine all the time. All the time, the world's going to gravitate to you. For women, I think there's a balance, or a balance you have to learn how to navigate to. And it's the same way with race that I see. Is again, like, you can't just be black, or you can't just be over dominant every conversation. Then there's certain times when you have to understand the situation and be able to play a part into that. I think when it comes into, I guess, when it comes to the way I see it in relationships, I kind of don't want to have to deal with that. So if you have to feel like you have to show your independence or counter independence into being with me, again, that's just going to cause conflict, because again, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I want you to be who you are, feel hopefully comfortable, or to express who you are. If that's who you are deep down, then hey, then we're going to have issues from day one to the end. I'm not going to stay around. To do all to witness all that pain and anguish. I've done that enough to know that's not what I want to do.
Sean, so this idea of feminine energy, does this not just walking a certain way, or a woman talking a certain way, right? Is it being an active listener? Like, give me your description of it.
Sure. So I think that, that is a part of it, right? But how a woman carries herself, how she dresses, how she acts, those are all feminine characteristics. I think what happens, though, you can have all of that together and be on the extreme ends, but still be masculine too. And I think what men are bumping up against in our current times are women who are coming at us with an energy just as a man would, right? So, and it's a fine line, because I know it can get into a cringy territory, but I just think, let's just hear the conversation. I think at our core, men and women, we're different, right? We communicate differently. We have a different emotional level, capacity, just in our DNA alone, right? So this is what I'm talking about. So I would say, like, when women start to, feel like they're in competition with a man, and how I see it take place is you get a lot of women that start to climb their success ladder, right? So many women, especially sisters, in the last 20, 30 years, they are advancing in their careers, advancing in their professions, and in education. And the idea is that because they have that success, it puts them on equal footing with a man in terms of interacting with us like men interact with each other. So sometimes certain women will take that same attitude that they have at home, where they may be at work, where they may be managing people, leading meetings, running presentations, and then they want to run me, right? So you want to tell me what I should do. You want to tell me how I should be doing something. You see something that I'm doing that perhaps you don't agree with or you think is an opportunity, and you address me as one of my dudes might address me, right? You might try to check me the same way a friend of mine might try to check me, or just in general, you just might feel like you're just going to check me on it and kind of correct me in a way that with an expectation of immediate improvement on the action that you don't like, right? So in that aspect, I think that is a masculine thing, whereas women know and have the skill set to approach a man and affect change in a very different way and get a better outcome. When you meet a man like a man, that often runs up against issues, right? So I think there's a way to say things, and I think, it's that age old expression. It may be old, but it's not outdated and it still can be used. You get more bees with honey, right, than you do with vinegar. And I think a lot that skill set, a lot of women, especially modern women, don't feel like they need to do it anymore because they've reached certain levels of success. They feel like they can say how they want to say it. If this is how they want to articulate their message, then we just need to accept it. And for me, I don't like that. And for me, that does come off as masculine. I would, and I'm not saying I need you to be a damsel and, speak right above a whisper. No, I'm not saying that. But I think we all know when we're having a conversation, and women do this very well. I see it in some examples where women, know how to talk to a man. And that as men, there's certain things that are going to get our back up too. Certain things, certain ways you say certain words, certain tones that you approach us with is going to get a certain reaction. So being conscious of that and knowing that, hey, listen, this is my man. I respect him. I don't care what I do. I don't care what the situation is, but I want to enter this environment in this space with respect. I want to be treated like a woman. If that's how the women are, if that's how they're looking to be treated, you want to be treated like a woman, then, carry yourself as such and keep that in mind in your messaging and in your delivery.
I'm glad you said that, Sean, because I think that that's what you meant by respect, because you mentioned respect last time and this time as well. And is that what you were really trying to, because women as women, we want respect as well. And that's very important to us. But, this idea of this feminine energy, a woman being in feminine energy, I really wanted to understand, because I was like, I know that I don't carry myself with the masculine energy. But when you say we as women that are now, making the money and having the education, that we're carrying ourselves talking to you a certain way, and are you saying that it's that challenging word that you said earlier? Is that what you're saying? That you're trying to challenge us or emasculate? Is that what you're meaning?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes it could come off that way, where it is emasculating, for sure. And I think that all comes with the tone and the delivery, right? And how you say something, and I think unfortunately, especially in our relationships, we don't always think before we speak, when we are dealing, especially with conflict, right? Sometimes it's just a reactionary thing. And I think in that moment, there are, not all, but there are a population of women out there who just like, listen, I'm very used to conducting myself in a particular way, and they are not familiar with, or maybe they don't see the value in switching it up a little bit, right? Just like we code switch a little, we don't talk the same way we do with our friends and family is the way that we talk when we get in professional environments. I think women need to be more conscious of that when they are in, professional environments. I think women need to be more conscious of that when they are in, relationships, when they are in, family, when they are in, work, when they are in, school, when they are in, when they are in their in their relationships and how they're talking to their man, for sure. But and the last point I would say is, you said, I mentioned respect before, and I know women do want respect. However, men value respect, and maybe not every man, but overall, men value respect more than women do. Women want to be loved more than a man wants to be loved. Like, for me, of course, I want you to love me, but I will take your respect over your love any day, right? Like, that for me is going to make for a long lasting relationship. Love ebbs and flows, it is an emotion, and it can be impacted by situations. So for me, the respect factor is what's going to carry our relationship through, and which is of more value to me, and I think most men. Like, for us, like, if you come at us with disrespect, that's a hard pill for us to swallow. It takes a lot for us to come back from that. And everybody might have their different version of what being disrespected looks like or feels like, but the sheer whatever respect is for that man, it is of primary importance for the most part.
Bronsberg, what do you think of this word, this feminine energy, and a woman working in or moving in masculine energy? Are you on the same trajectory as Sean?
Yeah, Sean broke it down perfectly. My thing about it is women being in their femininity is something that it's something that should be innate. So it's mind-boggling a lot of these conversations go on. Oh, sorry, the background. Um, okay, it's a little bit better now.
Yeah.
But I was saying that when it comes down to this whole entire thing, it's something that should be innate. A woman should know that. Obviously, she knows how her femininity works. It shouldn't be something that should really be a conversation about, like, how you going to tell me to be feminine, this, that, and the third. Now, the thing about it is weird because there's two things I was just thinking when Sean made his statement. One thing I was thinking about, where I come from, the city I'm from, and the reputation of women in my city. That a lot of women in my city exhibit masculine behavior, right? So therefore, a lot of men may feel like I gotta go to the suburbs, or I would dawn on going for women in a different region, not to deal with women in my own city, in Metropolis, right? So I had thought about that, and the second thing I had thought about was a woman is honored for how she is. A man is honored for what he does, right? And the thing about it is, the reason why I say that is because a woman having an attitude, she's going to be it's mainly her personality. Now, the thing about it is, this is where we get into this conversation about work and about having a job or making more, this six-figure salary income and this, that, and the third. When it comes to a man, like it's always been said, a man wants peace. He doesn't care if you have a master's or a PhD and you did like 7 to 10 years in college or whatever it is, that, and the third, or you're a high-paying nurse and this, that, and the third. We accept those accomplishments. We really will go to the high heavens to say, I'm proud of my woman because she did this, that, and the third. Beautiful. If a woman's mindset is, this is what I want to do, that's the mindset of a lot of men. That's what I think certain women don't understand. It's not about you. It's not about the title. It's about the fact matter you did it or you're going for it because that's your mindset. It's the same thing with a man. Once a man knows what he wants to do, he goes for it. So the women out here who's believing just because you have a PhD or a master's, you're not good enough or you're not valuable for a man is a flat out lie. That's not what the problem is. The problem is, in which you can go back to the whole entire femininity and masculine rhetoric, the fact of the matter that you're using those titles against me as a man and then sitting up there saying, I'm better than you because I did more years in college than you did, or you just came out of high school, or you just got an associate's degree and that's it. You understand? That's the problem in those conversations. So my thing about it is, at the end of the day, I would love for my woman, if she wants to be a doctor, a nurse, or I know you was telling me about the career field you're in as a screenwriter. I'm holding her to the high heavens, like, yo, This is my lady. She did this. I'm proud of her. But don't use that to basically bird crap on me because of the fact of the matter that I'm not really caring about degrees and titles like that. Like, I'll be proud of my accomplishments, but I'm not going to use it against someone to make a point and make it seem as if I'm better than them. And that is why the whole entire masculinity and femininity thing is a conflict of interest. You understand?
I understand, Corey. I really want to. I want to hear everyone's take on this because the because I run into it that is the opposite of what Bronsberg said. As a woman, I run into men that are, maybe the word is not jealous, but they don't like that the woman, if they don't like that their woman is climbing that ladder to success. So I would love for a man that have my back and be proud of me, but not all women are in that same situation that Bronsberg just said. So what do you think of what Bronsberg just said? Do we run into that emasculating and challenge type of situations? Go ahead, Corey.
I think Corey stepped away, Crystal. I don't know if he's back yet.
Oh, Corey did still step away. Go ahead, Onu. I do want to ask that question though. So wait, when I'll circle back to Corey when he gets back. So, do you think that there is men are still in this mindset of, yes, I want to promote my woman, I want her to be that driven person, but I have actually run into the opposite. There are a lot of situations where men are in that jealousy mindset. And that's where the conflict comes in.
That's multiple variables. I think again, one thing we're talking about money earlier, but now this goes back to power. I think kind of goes hand in hand. That can be like an intimidation factor. So if you're using that as display of power for intimidation factor, again, that can be a problematic, and again, most men are kind of wired against that. And I kind of feel like, does how much money you make, finances really matter for a prosperous relationship? And that shouldn't be the case. I guess I'm not sure if that's what you're leading to, but if the woman makes more money than the man, can a woman submit to another man's direction for a household or for a relationship or to be prosperous? I think that's the issue that you might run into. And then there might be guys out there that are like, hey, if my wife is that PhD or is that master's degree or is that travel nurse or is doing her own thing, and I don't have anything to stand on, maybe I don't feel I can't be in my masculine energy, or I might not be able to lead that household the way I want to be led. Does the woman want to be led by someone who doesn't have those things? Again, you're asking a question from two different sides. Again, each situation has to be viewed differently. Are there men out there who are intimidated from those type of women? Of course, but at the same time, there are women who choose those type of men to court. And then why are you choosing those type of men? I guess that's my guess that's the way I'm trying to interpret that question.
You just hit on something. I'm gonna give you that because and Kimberly reviewed. She said the same thing, that she's running into the same type of situation, that we're not running into the same men, Bronsberg, that want to promote and inspire and motivate us to climb that ladder to success. But as Sean just asked the question, he said, are we sure it's jealousy? And it may be more of an intimidation. Maybe he's not mentally in the same space. Because I'm always promoting and, trying to build them up, but maybe he's not where he wants to be. And are we having that conversation? Is that what you mean by that, Sean? How do I know it's jealousy? It may not be jealousy, but it's got to be something.
So I think this is what happens, and you touched on it. And that's why conversations like this are so important, because one, we may not be really asking the questions like, what's this and why? Like, why do you feel this way? What's going on? Give me some examples, like, fleshing it out. So I think sometimes that's how we can really get to the meat of what's happening there. Because I would say, and most of my guy friends, and you heard those of us on this panel, we don't get caught up in that stuff. I think sometimes women may assume, or they, because they're getting some pushback and both parties haven't really fleshed it out, um, they're not having the conversations in terms of what it is, right? So I think that's something that could be fleshed out. And of course, obviously, there are insecure and jealous people out there. That is something that exists. But I would just say, before we make that assumption, let's have the conversation and make sure we've truly fleshed it out for what it is.
That's true. That is true. But there is this type of this animosity when we're building. I'm thinking that, hey, I'm growing in my career, and he should be proud of me. But it's the opposite. I don't want to say the opposite, but I'm not getting that proud or motivating. From him, proud of that motivation from him. So I hear what you're saying, though, that it may not be a jealousy, it may be something else that's going on. And but is he having that conversation with me? Is he having that conversation? Are we communicating the right way, and are we communicating, period, and finding out? Because as Onu said, we're veering into like partner and provider. The baseline of that is a power struggle, is is a struggle for communication and the way we as men and we as women move. So, but you did say something else. That do you think that we as women value men the same way? Because you said that men, um, we want respect more, and women, we look for love. I actually think we as women, I think that a lot of women, especially Black women, look for trust, and I even more. What do you? So going back to what you said about, I'll ask Bronberg. Do you think that we as women are just like got our rose-colored glasses on, and we want a man just to love us, and men want a woman to respect them?
When it comes to the power dynamics, it does come across that way, low key. Uh, I don't really have a legitimate answer, but to say that mainly that just seems like how it's fixated. Again, you gotta think from the process of how women and men operate. We operate differently. Women are gonna operate off of emotions and operate off of how they're being treated by their man. A man is going ahead with this idea of logic in the fact of the matter that his woman respects him. You understand? So if a woman can just be like, well, I did this and I did that in front of my man and he didn't react, she's gonna have a big argument about it. Whereas a man has a code of ethics where he's just like, this is how my woman is moving. Let's just take a frivolous example of what I mean, right? So a man, a woman that goes out with her friends or is just going outside. Oh, let's just say it is her and her husband, boyfriend, whatever have you, her partner. They go out to a restaurant or they go out to a very private event and this, that, and third, and all of a sudden she starts doing rambunctious things like twerking on a damn table. That's gonna make the man feel like he's being disrespected. Whereas a woman, if he sits up there and corrects this woman and say, "Hey, I don't like the fact that you're doing that, or don't you dare do that in front of me because you're not respecting me as a man." Now all of a sudden it becomes a conversation. You made me feel like this, that, and the third because of the fact of the matter you don't even want me to have fun. You understand? So there's two different ways the situation be handled, which gets to my point that's how it seems in the dynamics of the relationship between a man and a woman. If you catch my drift, hope you do. She's muted.
know.
Maybe Crystal stepped away for a minute or two.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a conversation. So if that is disrespectful, and
Yeah.
we're I'm not going to be twerking on the table or acting rambunctious, and but I do think that we as women are very observant. We want to make sure. I think that I and the people I associate myself with, we want to make sure that we are representing that man.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Um, but if that is a concern of yours, yeah, that shouldn't be a concern of yours. That shouldn't be a concern of yours.
What shouldn't be a concern of yours?
That we are acting inappropriately in public.
Well, I mean, in terms of that's my actual woman. Now, if it's just a woman by herself or whatever, that's her and her business, you know. But if that's my lady and this is the woman that I'm in a relationship with, yes, it matters. You're representing me in a relationship. If I'm out with you, yeah.
We as women are so observant. Yeah, that shouldn't be a concern. Yet that's a conversation, as we talked about before we even go to seeing people in public or being around each other's family. You should. I don't know. I would think you would see how I move. How am I? What do you think, Sean?
Um, I think like sometimes, of course, it shouldn't be. So I think I get where you're coming from. You're saying is it shouldn't be an issue because that's not a way in which you would behave or people that are in your circle behave. So I guess that's what perhaps you're saying. I think what Bronsberg, and correct me if I'm wrong, is trying to say is that that example that he contrasted is more so how men and women operate differently and how they would handle a particular situation. And then once it's addressed, how a woman would perceive it versus a man. So I think that's what he was just trying to contrast is how men and women operate differently in different spaces. And then some things that we would want to, address amongst each other or between each other. I know Bronsberg is stepping away, so perhaps he can revisit it when he comes back.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think like, yeah, even back to the whole growth in the relationship or your career aspirations, I just think we need to have these conversations. And when you have them, you'll get more out of it. Because what I've seen, and I'll give you an example of this. I've seen two couples, a couple rather, and the woman wants to get an advanced degree, right? She's got her bachelor's, they're married, they're together. She wants to get an advanced degree, to further her career down the line. So it will be a conversation, right, in the household. And the man might say, hey, listen, babe, we're talking about having kids right now, or this is XYZ thing, or let's talk about the financial aspect of it. And the woman may say, this is what I want to do, and I want to get it accomplished, and I'm going to do it. Like, and I'm not using names, but this is a real life example. So that woman moves forward and gets her degree. The man is like, hey, what happened here? Like, we never really fully agreed on this. You just moved forward and decided to do what you want to do. Now there's a student loan. Other things are put on the back burner. The time you're spending in school is now taking away from our relationship. The woman is saying, you're not supporting me. You're not supporting my growth. Yeah, because we didn't agree on it. We didn't agree on the planning and the timing. And now what you're doing is impacting our relationship. So you got two people, one scenario, but they both have two different ideas about what's playing out in the relationship. So I think more often than not, this is what's happening. Now, again, I'm not saying there's not men out there that are insecure. They definitely exist. There's insecure men, there's insecure women, there's jealous men, there's jealous women. They exist. But I tend to lean on the side of practicality, and most people don't enter into a relationship just to sabotage it. Most people don't. Some people do, most don't. So I would say that we need to be on the same page. So a lot of times when we don't communicate, or when we communicate but we still go and do what we want to do, that's what happens. And then it's easier to say, I didn't agree with my husband, my partner, on this plan. It's more difficult to say that, like, hey, listen, the timing was off on my part, but I just did what I wanted to do, versus saying, oh, he's just jealous. He doesn't want to see me move up in my career, and he knows that this promotion that I want to get to this next level requires this degree, and this is what I need to do, and the time is now. Right? It's a lot more difficult to say the first than it is the latter, because then the latter makes you own part of it, right? Not all of it, but part of it. So I think that's what I was pushing on about that part.
I hear what you're saying. That is a conversation, and getting your advanced degree, and then you've got more student loans coming in, and then then that the children that you want to have, that's more money that's not going towards those children, and then those children are now putting on the back burner. So I actually hear what you're saying. So that conversation does need to be okay. Well, if I get my degree now, we can wait another year or two or something like that. You guys need to confirm that you guys are both on the same page with that conversation, because those are definitely life-changing conversations. But as you were saying earlier, women going by their emotions and just going off and just doing it. Do you think that women do that? Do you think that we just go and say, this is what I want to do, and that's it? Like you were saying that women go by love and this idea of love, and men are more about respect. Is that, elaborate on that?
You were breaking up a little, Crystal. Did you want me to touch on that?
You know what? I do want Onu to touch on that, because because you did explain that, and I really want to know if you did run into that, if because you said, if we go and I want my advanced degree, but you said in the next, let's say, 5 to 8 years after you finish your college, owner, you want children, and you're looking for marriage.
Yes, but I guess to piggyback, on what Sean has to say, like if I was in a marriage and let's say my spouse was like, okay, like want to go back, I want to go back to school. I want to go back to school to get an advanced degree right now, and I'm thinking about settling down, having kids, and we both can get what we want at the same time. Something's going to have to give, and the key thing about that, we would have to have mature conversations, plural, in order to figure exactly what's going to happen. I think picking back or trying to understand, or trying to piggyback, or trying to I'm listening to what Sean has to say. If you're going to make decisions based on your life, based on what you want and not what we want or the relationship wants, then again, like why am I here, or why that spouse is here? So again, I can understand exactly why the husband is going to be mad if what he wants is going to either not be fulfilled or put on the back burner for her to fulfill something that she wants to do. And if you're that person in that situation, my question is like, why? Even though again, I'm not trying to knock down your professional your professional pursuits, if doing something is going to affect your spouse, that's going to be a whole big deal. Like, why are you married versus being single? If you're single, you can make single decisions. When you're not single, you can't make single decisions for the most part, or you have to make sure that all parties involved have an understanding of what is moving forward. So it's going to be very, again, am I going to be in my feelings? Yes. I can understand from a guy's perspective how he would be in his feelings in that situation. And if you decide to do something just based on what you feel fit was the best for you, initially you can't expect me to feel happy for you right then and there in that particular moment. You're going to need time and growth in order for that to be achieved. Maybe it comes around. Or maybe he has to realize, you know what, I can't get what I want right now today, but maybe a couple years down the road, we'll have to revisit that bridge. Unfortunately, he didn't bring that situation upon himself, but that's something he's going to have to deal with if he wants to stay in that particular relationship. But it's, I mean, I guess that's a real tough situation to deal with. But and we're Monday quarterbacking here. So again, like I don't know what the right thought process is, but why is it more for in that situation? Why is it more important for you to do something that's going to benefit you, or what's going to benefit you, or that's your most main interest? And try to talk that out, try to explain it to me so I can understand exactly what your thought process is. Like
I hear what you're saying. I do.
it's like like when I was in elementary school, and let's say I failed an examination, I had to get my mom and dad to sign it. Like I could have waited until like the next morning, right before I went to school, and had them sign it right then and there, so I don't have to deal with the aftermath of my decision making.
Mhm.
Because I know exactly how to manipulate situation. The more mature thing will be to come home, with, hey, I didn't do well on this test. We need to go ahead and talk about it. But I knew there's going to be a backlash coming at me that I didn't want to deal with. And again, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna find a way to get around the situation. Because again, I just need this test signed so I can go back to school the next day. And I kind of feel like that's what I'm getting. That's kind of like the same aspect or energy I'm getting from that conversation. If you want, if professional improvement means more than a relationship, and you can't have a proper discussion about that, then why am I here?
Right.
Like I don't.
And you had mentioned earlier that these are conversations we're going to have before we even walk down the aisle.
Correct.
I would hope. I would. I would hope if you said, I want to have 2 kids, and it's time for us to have those 2 kids, and we're on that trajectory, and you're like, no, I want to go to graduate school. Excuse me. So, and those that's to me that's the important conversations that I would want to have first. I think I want to go on to my last question, and because Sean had touched on it and Brownsburg really touched on it, but when a man is, being that provider, do you believe, and I'm going to start with Brownsburg, I'm glad you're back, that do you believe that women emasculate? Do you believe that this emasculating idea that, he should be doing this, and if he's not, then make you feel less than? Do you believe that there is a certain percentage of women or a certain amount of women that do that? Or let's say you lose your job or something happens. Do you believe that women out there are not feeling or not letting you feel like the man? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen it plenty of times. Something happens, or a guy is working in a less position than a woman. She'll sit up there and say, "Oh, you didn't pay the bills this month. Why are you even here?" So the idea and the concept of them emasculating a man, it goes back to that whole entire power dynamic, and unfortunately, in this society, it is a way of finances. The thing about it is, they want to know if that man, because they'll even make fun of the position he has. This is like the conversations we'll get into sometimes. They'd be like, nah, I can't date the brother that's working at McDonald's. Or you can't date the dude that's sitting. And it's like, why do y'all always gotta go to that as a conversation? How you don't know you trying to gun his way to be a manager? You know what I mean? It's always the positions count, because they want to be able to think that the man is in a high position. It goes back to the idea of titles. So if they know a man is sitting up there working at that white collar job, or he owns his own business, they ain't really got no issues. Now, if it's a man that's sitting up there working in blue collar, or he's working in retail or this, that, and the third, they're gonna look at him sideways unless he has a higher position. So if he doesn't have that, and he might be struggling on the bills or this, that, and the third, or he has the plans, she's not gonna take him seriously. She's gonna think that that man is probably a waste of time, or this plan that he's talking about is not gonna come into fruition, and all these different things. So the idea of emasculation is true for a woman dealing with men. How can I give a percentage on how many women there is? No, I can't. I can only tell you that, is it true that it does happen? Absolutely.
Sean, what do you think about that? Do you think that we as women sometimes we emasculate if that provider role has changed or switched? Do you think that we want him to keep us in the position where we started?
Um, I think yes, but I just think like a woman that's going to emasculate a man will emasculate a man no matter what.
I agree.
You know, because I've seen women make more than, less than, and still, you know, whether it's not me directly or other people that I've seen, and just that's just part of their personality. You know, so I don't know that it's so much circumstantial as that that's part of who that woman is. You know, a woman could be provided for and still, you know, find a way to emasculate, nitpick, or complain about her man. You know, meanwhile she's still being taken care of. So I just think like that's why it's so important that as we are dating and leading up to marriage and serious relationships, that you know we're able to vet the person, and you know for each other get to really see each other and how we operate in different environments, because I've seen it play out in so many ways, shapes, or forms. I do think, lastly, that the odds are more likely, and that's why you find men wanting to make more money than their woman, because it is more likely to happen when there is a disparity in income. Because listen, it's a double standard, but us, I think as men, we kind of deal more better with double standards than women kind of do. We understand that they do exist and we know the consequences, and we either meet the qualifications or we don't, right? So we know that typically women like men that earn more money, right? So we realize that if we want access to more women, we need to level ourselves up, right? And again, when I talk like this, it doesn't mean 100%. It just means majority, right? Because there's an exception for everything. So, but we know that most women want a man that makes a considerable amount of money or does well for himself. So men, we don't have an issue with doing that if we want access to those women. I think women, on the other hand, struggle with when men come to the table and say, this is what we are looking for from a woman, it gets thrown back on us in terms of what we need to be. And that's where this conversation of partner versus provider, because if I want said woman and maybe that woman makes more than me, then we get into a conversation of, well, what am I going to do to get to more money, get to more of the bag, right? So that I can be above her. So now she will be the traditional woman that I would want her to be, versus, you know, we're with each other, we're liking each other, we're in relationship, we see a future. Can we just not agree on how we're going to manage our relationship, if that makes sense?
That's interesting. Onu, what do you think about that? Do men understand the double standard more than women?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I think I have to agree. I have to agree with what Sean has to say. Like, I'm not. I think we've come to accept it more, and we use that, and we just know how to deal with that more in our day to day thought processing. I think we're more logical when it comes to those subjects, or taking emotion away, out of it. I agree. Yes. I mean, for most parts, I agree with everything Sean has to say. Like, it's not like a hard. I can't say 100% yes, 100% no. But again, I would have to say a huge proportion. Like, I'm probably in 85, 90% of the way of that thought process, the way most women, at least I interact with, would be viewing it. So, I mean, there are going to be exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, I mean, there's nothing I can nitpick. I mean, that's an ironclad statement there. Take that to the bank. So.
Okay, I understand that it's not ironclad. I do hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I have dated somebody that was a warehouse worker, and that was it, and corporate in different fields. So I hear what you're saying. Um, but I understand it. Although I don't emasculate, there is these. But I have a friend that I've seen it, and I'm like, why would you talk to him like that? So I hear what you're saying as well. That it that
If again, like if we take is the, I mean, I guess here's the thing: is the issue about the money, or is the issue about the prestige? Like again, one of the things I look. I mean, one of the things when I again, even when you start looking at white, when we talk about white collar versus blue collar, again, what does that mean? Like, what is their impact to society? Like, what did they do? Like, how many lives did they impact? Like, what type of jobs do they provide for the people around them? And what does that mean? So when you just take away if you take away the salary, what is their impact? Who are they impacting on the day to day? And how does that and those lives? How do those lives are better or not better to do so? Now, if it's just based on finance, you can go out and make a lot of money doing a lot of things legally and not illegally. But if we're looking at this from a legal standpoint again, what's the hope? If I'm happy working in a warehouse, putting boxes, putting pallets together, talking situation there, why should a woman undermine that? Like, why do women undermine people who are actually providing a roof over their heads, and their children, able to pay their taxes, do those type of things? To me, that's part of the issue. If we're thinking, hey, for me to live a particular lifestyle at a particular level, I need to be with people who make that type of money. That's a personal choice that you've made. Those decisions that you made to impact your life, you can't just expect other people to confine to that. The way modern women come to dating, that's seeping in, and to me that doesn't make any sense.
that's kind of what I want to get into. That the way that the women of today, are we looking at? Are we just looking at it as prestige? Are we just looking at it
Yes,
as
I think you're looking at prestige, and I think you're looking at it in the wrong the wrong way. Like, because the things that you're looking for out of a relationship is not the same things you're looking at out of the job. So why are both going hand in hand and together? Because
okay?
most guys I know, when they're going to dating, again, they're not looking to date they're looking to date their colleague, or looking to date the competition. If that's not what they want to do, most of them looking for feminine women, or people to bring out characteristics that make them be the best person of themselves. So if you're
So
not able to do that, then what's the whole? Why are you trying to attract those type of men?
I hear what you're saying. So Bronsberg, do you kind of agree with that? Is that what you were saying earlier? That women today, they're looking at it as they're coinciding the relationship with what his career is, and they're two different things.
Yeah, it seems like it. It just seems as if, like, if you're gonna have a man, the idea is I want the man that's high. You know what I mean? High in like a career, high in that market with how much money he's making. And I'm not. And the thing about it is, obviously, because I seen somebody talked about this in the comment section. Obviously, you ain't supposed to be dating no broke dude. A broke dude is supposed to be getting his mind straight and doing what he needs to do to get to where he has to be. This is why I always advocate for men that's around me. Don't even think about dating if you need to develop. You understand? Don't even think about it. Don't even entertain a woman. I don't give a damn if she's for sex or if she's just for actual relationships. Don't do it to yourself. You may like the girl, but you have to like her or you might have to approach her when your mindset is right. So that was what I was getting at. But yeah, I believe, yeah, because you're not gonna find really women that's like, you're not, unfortunately, we have to be real about it. You're not gonna find a lot of women that's gonna be willing to, like, really want to work with a man. You know what I mean? Yeah, he might have a plan. He might be able to be like, oh yeah, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. But look, opportunity arises. It's the saying that goes, women are opportunists. This is not about me being a misogynist, but this is where it goes. Of course, why do you think there's a whole market for sugar bears and all that? Why? Because the man and his resources, right? And the thing about it is, what is his title? He's a millionaire? Okay, I'll date him. You know, he might be facially challenged, but that man got $1 million, right? Because the fact of the matter, what is his resources? How much does he earn? What is his title? That is the most important. There's going to be certain women, of course, that's going to be like, I don't really care about that. I'm really attracted to this man. And he's about his business. He moves in a certain way, and I like that. You know what I mean? But it just seems as if that's it seems a little bit lost, you know. And I'm not gonna say there are women out there that don't think like that, but you know, you also have to factor in the status quo, right? What is if you ask a general of women, what is going to be their answer to that? And I guess because I'm speaking from a certain period, because I'm probably younger than all three of y'all, but that's what it might seem like.
What does work with a man look like to you, Bronsberg?
Well, the idea of working with a man is just the idea of understanding that his plan and his course of action is there, and that you're supporting him, that you're honoring the fact of the matter that he's moving. He might not have all the answers, but you know that as a woman, if you can help him and lift him up, and I hate to say this, but kind of be like his cheerleader. And I don't mean like being a cheer, because you know it's this popular term called pick me's, and I don't mean pick me's and like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just gonna be there for my man. And you know, that's why I say, men, you have to put in the work too. The first obligation is for a man to put in the work and understand that he's moving aesthetically with his plan. If you're not moving with your plan, you're not doing anything. What use are you, right? That's why I say that. I don't want people to get that misconstrued. But that's what I mean with a woman is working with her man. She's understanding and respecting the fact of the matter he might not have everything on the table for him to be this highly successful man, or this, that, and third, or he wants to get into a place where he feels comfortable where he's at. I don't care what job you have, but just the fact of the matter, you're comfortable with it, or you're looking to elevate from that position. And the step of the way, your woman is supporting you, even if that means sending out affirmations and being like, you know, you got this, you got this, you got this. A lot of women have to understand, men appreciate the little things. We appreciate the little things, like a easy little kiss on the forehead and be like, you got this at work today. You know, you're gonna do well, or you're gonna get that promising position you want, or you're gonna make money, you're gonna earn this, that, and the third, blah blah blah. That's what I mean.
Okay, I got you on that. The next show is Pick Me's and Sugar Bears, y'all.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm definitely coming to that.
Crystal, can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
So kind of what you were saying, I think too, is something that it just the differences between us, right? I think like, yes, there's a woman typically looking for a man to be a good earner, right? And that is an important thing. And just to Bronsberg's point, that is men as in our provider role, we should be, right? We should be financially sound. What becomes interesting, and I think often debated, men don't necessarily lead with that, right? So we have this conversation where a man will say this is what he wants, and then a woman will fire back with her requirements. But that's not what we want. We're not looking for you to be an executive. If it so happened, that's awesome, that's phenomenal and great. But that's not number one on our list. Now, again, do I want any woman that I'm going to be in relationship to be able to take care of herself? 100%. But her being a six-figure high earner is not of concern for me. You know what I mean? It's not a concern. I want other things. And I think that's where we need to be able to communicate and hear each other. It's like, you want this, I want that. They don't have to overlap. Some things may or may not, right? But primarily, we are looking and approaching relationships from a different perspective. So it's how we meet each other in the middle and figure out how to navigate that. And also, women do need to operate with a sense of reality in that if you are looking for said man making said amount of money, realize the pool that you're in. So if you want a guy that makes over six figures, know how many of those men exist. If you want that man to be black or look a particular way, know how many of those men exist, right? You know, you got to have some reality based in that, right? He can't be six figures, six pack. Like it can't just be because you're minimizing your opportunities. And that's where, and sometimes you're running up against a brick wall or you're feeling like, oh, there's not enough men out there, you know, or I'm not finding these men. Well, what pool are you swimming in to find those men? Have you looked at the criteria? How realistic is the criteria that you're looking for? Have you really dug into it that much? Have you done work on yourself, right? Are you just looking at your past relationships? Because that's important for me as a man. And I think someone else mentioned that, right? If all the woman, I think Corey did before he left, if all she could do was talk about the jerks, the losers, the F boys, the trash dudes she's dated in her past, that says more about you than it does about those dudes. So you need to do the self-work on you to realize where you are, what are your areas of opportunity, and what you are currently working on. Have you asked anybody that you've been in a relationship with what it was like to experience you? Because we have a great movement with women, self-love, women's empowerment, and I love it for them. But it also kind of puts women on this pedestal where they feel like they've got it all. And I think they need to, you know, be good to themselves, have a sisterhood, but also know what are the men saying about you that you're in relationship with? What do the men say about you that are in your family? How do they perceive you? What do those conversations look like? Do you ask them what impression they get of you? And are you open to that feedback that's coming from a man about you where there may be some value in you doing things differently?
I will agree with you that, but we as women look, we run into the same things that if I'm constantly hearing a man like, well, what, you know, talk to me about your previous relationship, and he said all I had was angry women or mean women that took advantage of me, and he just went down this whole diatribe of how horrible these women were to him. I'm like, well, what did you do? You know, we're looking at the same things. And so that's huge, and that's really important for us to find out. You know, that's a big dialogue for us to say, why is this constant, oh well, does that mean that I have to treat him a certain way? But it's so interesting, you know, they were saying in the chat, you know, and Onu just said, so if he's acting a certain way or she's acting a certain way at 50,000, what makes you think that she's going to act right or be a little bit more amiable at 250K, you know? And I think that's something to pay attention to. So, because now you're making more money and you guys didn't gravitate, you know, grow that success together, then there's an issue there. Then if she wasn't acting right at 50K, what makes you think that she's going to act right at 250K? Go ahead, Onan, what were you going to say?
I agree with everything that said.
Because and yeah, that's what I was going to say, that that we have this idea that, oh well, you know, we as women, we think that this what did you say, the double standard is different, Sean, and he should be okay with the or we should be okay with the double standard, but we want to be accepted too. We want to climb that ladder to success. Do you understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, Sean.
Sure. Like listen, I think that there's nothing wrong with that and you wanting to be successful in your career, right? But what is our ultimate goal? And I think this is what Bronsberg was also saying. It's like, what is our goal? Do we have a plan together? Are we in line? And I think that's where we get into this territory where you're talking to now, right? Because now it's like, this is what I want to do and I want to get here. And in traditional relationships, again, the man as the provider sets the tone in terms of the plan for the family. And the woman would obviously add input, say what she wants or doesn't want to do. But in today, that's very, very different, right?
Mhm.
We have a very different dynamic and setup. So that's where we bump up against each other, because you have two independent people trying to be in a interdependent relationship. And if we're not focused on that interdependence and we're so super focused on our independence, we're going to be two independent people that wind up walking a separate path, and in many instances going a separate way. And that's why our divorce rates are so high, because we take this same mentality. And it's hard, it's not easy. Marriage is not, an easy bake, throw it in the oven and bake it and you're good, you're done. It takes a lot of work and intentionality. And I think that's where somebody at some point is going to have to give up of themselves. So if you have a desire for career aspirations, depending on where it fits inside of your marriage, it may or may not work out the way you designed it to be. But what's more important? Is your marriage more important, or this personal desire to be at the upper echelons of your career as a wife more important? And you find many women make that sacrifice and find fulfillment in other areas because they realize that I can't necessarily do it in the time and the space that I want to do it and the way that I've always conceived it to look like. And you see that play out in different examples. Even look at Aisha Curry and Steph Curry, right? She was her own person. And that's just one example, not a perfect couple, but she made a sacrifice in the very big chunk of the first part of their marriage to be a family woman, to give birth to the kids, to really dedicate in time to allow her kids to grow up. Now, in a different season, she is an entrepreneur in her own right. I'm just giving this as an example of how that sacrifice could look. And I think sometimes it works out where a woman might say, I want it all and I want it now. And that's where we bump up against each other, because you can't do everything right now. It's going to have to be somebody sacrificing. And we got to figure out who's going to sacrifice what and what's that going to look like.
Okay. Last question, y'all. Thank y'all. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone in the chat. There is this book, Four Pillars of a Man's Heart, by Stu Weber. And the basis of the book, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This is the last question. But do you believe the four pillars, and I'm going to start with Bronsberg, the four pillars of a man's heart is to provide, protect, love, and to teach? What do you think about those pillars? Bronsberg.
It sounds like it's. I can't even say anything. I think it's just something that I agree with. I don't have any more words on it. I just think it's true.
So what do you think about that love and that teach, though? What do you think of that, those two? Do you think that, and it does sound like from what you guys are saying, it's in that order, though, like to provide and to protect, but that love and teach is, go ahead.
Dead last. Because this is the thing, like you can't be heartless. I mean, we all got emotions, right? So the thing about it is, love and teach still comes into it, because the love obviously is because okay, this is what I think. It's going external into internal. If you catch my drift, provider, right? Obviously, just being able to hold down the fort, basically, and then when it comes to protector, you using your manly strengths to make sure that your family is good and nothing harmful happens to your family or your partner. Then love, of course, to give that energy back to your. I hate using energy, but give that type of same attitude towards your woman and match that, right? And then the last one, teacher, because as men we teach, right? We're still teachers at the end of the day. We provide lessons. We provide I would say, a moral compass. Usually we're known for the moral compass, keeping order, being able to know this is what's right and this is what's wrong, but this is what I could teach you didn't know before. Now you know. Now I can make you understand that you're on the right path, and that you should look out for certain things out there that might not be good for you or may harm you. So that, I mean, that's the concept I get, especially the last one as a teacher.
What about you, Sean? What do you think? And I'll end with Omi.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that that's something that we struggle with in modern relationships is like, is a woman open to a man teaching her, right? And I think that's that lost art sometimes, because you'll pose that, and some women, a lot of them will say, well, I can teach my man too, why can't I be the teacher? And that's where that masculine comes in, because women in today's times are very resistant and can be triggered, some for right reasons, for feeling like they're being led by the wrong person. And for me, I think it's that age old expression, right? As men, yeah, we are the head of the household, but women are the neck, right? Because the neck turns the head. So, and it's just like the rudder of a ship. A super yacht or a cruise ship has a very small rudder, but that rudder can steer that very large ship. And I think that is what, in essence, when the relationship is working, in the way that I feel, I would like to be a part of, that's how it works. It's not me dominating you, but it's you understanding what the role of a man is and what most men feel comfortable and secure in certain positions. There are men that are willing to negotiate and change that aspect, but at the core, most of us feel comfortable in that particular space of our relationship. So I think absolutely, when you lined up those four pillars, that is very critical in understanding how a man's heart works, what gets us going, what excites us, what makes us feel secure in our relationships.
Oni, what do you think about those four pillars? And do you think that it's important, as Sean just said, what gets us going, what excites us, for us as women today, in today's society, you out there dating, Dr. Onu, for you to for your woman to know what gets you going, what excites you?
I think that's an. I agree. I think that's important. I think that's very important, and hopefully, when I look at manhood or the type of person I want to be, I can come to all those type four roles, and I can go back to a season where maybe I wasn't in that mindset to do all four of those things as you mentioned too. The key thing is like when you I want to be that type of person. So hopefully, I do those characters to be those type of to do those type of things. But it's gonna. Well, I have to be with a woman that's gonna allow me to. I guess to teach, to love, to protect, and do all those things. Like, and you might. I can't say every single woman that I'm around is capable of doing just that. And I think that's the issue. And I think that's the main issue I have. Yes, I agree with the statement. I agree with the statement that from that book, but not all women can be held to that to that standard. And I'm just looking for the one that's going to be able to do so in order to move forward.
In order to move forward. Thank you guys so much, everyone in the chat. Thank you guys so much. We will be having a part 3. I think Bronsberg named my part 3.
Yeah.
So I was going to be talking about each men and women teaching each other, but I think we can veer into what Bronsberg was saying. So let's talk about it. Let me know how you guys, if you as women in the chat have any questions for the men. Again, thank you guys. Have a good Saturday night. We went longer than I expected, so I really appreciate these gentlemen. Onu, tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram. And Dr. Amadi, sorry.
I like Onu better, at least.
Okay.
Dr. Amadi.
For now, until you finish your residency, but you earn that.
I'm online. I'm on Instagram, Onu Amadi MD, all one word. Facebook, Onuamadi. Uh, definitely love joining these panels. I think I'll be seeing Sean and Kojo in a couple weeks. We're ready to love coming back. So hopefully we up to shenanigans. I promise I'll be more mellow.
No, we don't
This
like
time.
mellow.
Huh?
We don't like mellow.
I'll be more mellow, like I said, again, be more mellow, but again, it's nice. It's always nice to talk to my new friends, old friends. So thank you. I definitely appreciate Brownsburg being on here. Definitely learned a lot. Sean as well, and Corey, which I'm sorry he had to leave, but I know this kind of ran a little longer than usual. Typically, we're getting back to our super panel days where we can't get off the phone.
Right.
So.
Sean, let everyone know where they can find you. I know that another round was in here, but she might be gone for the night. So go ahead, tell everyone where we can find you.
Sure. So again, Crystal, thank you for opening up space for us and helping navigate this interesting conversation. We love it, especially when you open up your floor to men, and I think you just beautifully show how a woman can hear a man's perspective. So I just want to thank you for leaving room and making space for us to be able to do that, and not judging us for saying how we feel. So I love that. And I'll come, when I can and when you'll have me. But I can be found on Sean Davis 120 on IG. I also, as Crystal mentioned earlier, I have a channel that I'm co-hosting with Jay, who was in the chats with all of you. It's Another Round. We've got a couple of episodes already dropped. One on safe spaces and men, and another one where we are doing a review of the show Our Kind of People on Fox, which if anybody hasn't checked it out, I know Crystal, you're doing reviews on it too. A phenomenal show of melanated magic. So check it out if you haven't. But yeah, you can find me there. There's links to my own channel, which is coming in a day or two, I promise, with some content shown unfiltered. So that's all the places you can find me. And I've had a chance to check out Bronsberg's channel too on YouTube. Got some very dope and interesting content there as well.
Yes, everyone, if y'all don't know Bronsberg, you think he brought the heat tonight, please check out his channel. Go ahead, Bronsberg. You end it for us.
Y'all making me laugh in my nest, man. Appreciate all of y'all. Appreciate you, Crystal, for letting me on and let me spread my knowledge. You know what I mean? Onu always brings some dope discussions to the table. Sean always gives that I would say the spiritual aspect. You understand? And Corey, I wish he could have stayed around, man. Stuff like that. But where you can find me, basically, as they say, is YouTube. I might be expanding to some other sites with my content, but as for now, you can find me on exactly what my name is, Bronsberg. And usually I hold panels. I hold panels. I try to hold them every weekend. It used to be Fridays, but my panels are called the Brownstone Powwow. I should be having one tomorrow, and then this week I think I'm trying to have one about is R&B dead. So I'm gonna have a discussion on that. All of you guys are definitely invited to come through for that one. I'm just trying to figure out what day I want to do that. So yeah, so basically that's where you can find me, and let's have more meaningful discussions like this. It's been a great time. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want to chime in on is the R&B dead. That sounds like that's going to be a heat fire. Yes, so we will be having a part 3. I am also doing reviews of Our Kind of People. I love how Sean called it melanated magic because it absolutely is. And I love the fact that it's got legends on there. Like these people like Debbie Morgan and Joe Morton have been acting for years, and it's a great project. And it's important for us as melanated people to get behind these projects, because if we get behind them, especially in the time of social media, then they will have a season 3 and a season 5 and go on and go on and go on. So it's important for us to see people that look like us on the screen. So please get behind these projects. I do a review of Married at First Sight with Sean. Please pray for us. on Wednesday nights. Because and then I also do one with Misha on Thursday, with Misha Allen on Thursday. She and I, we tag team for ours, and I almost think that I feel like I need to get some sleep to get through what I just saw on Wednesday. So I'll just play for us. So thank you guys. I'm going to also be having my own another show, not just part 3, but then Chris Natha and I, she is a leader. She is a coach, and she will be coming onto my show. We're going to be doing some more projects together as well. So stay tuned. Got a lot of projects coming. Please look out for Sean's projects. Please look out for Bronzebird. And if you ever need a doctor and you're in Detroit, please go see Onu until he gets his permanent place. So thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Peace.